The anime started with Yogiri. He is a loser child walking in a corridor filled with corpses and bullets flying in all directions. He walks towards a camera and asks where Asaka is his caretaker. He continues walking towards a room and the door suddenly opens. A woman is wielding a gun as she holds Asaka hostage. Asaka asks the woman what she wants, but the woman tells her to shut up. Yogiri happily runs inside the room, happy to find Asaka. The woman tells Yogiri to not move, otherwise she will blast the Asaka's brains out. Asaka complains about being hurt, and in the next second something happens. Some waves appear and the woman drops dead to the floor. Asaka is confused, but Yogiri simply hugs her and smiles while saying they should return. Suddenly, an older Yogiri is awoken from his sleep by his classmate Tomochika, who seems to be in a panic. He opens his eyes asking who she is, but quickly remembers she's the girl with the weird name. He remembers that before taking a nap, they were on a class trip and asked if they already arrived. However, Tomochika replies they haven't and tells him to wake up and see what's going on. Yogiri looks around and sees several of his classmates lifelessly and they're full of sauce. He notices that one of them is pierced by something strange and asks what it is. He decides to look outside the bus and notices something wrapping around it. He thinks it could be a giant snake or a lizard. To figure it out, he grabs a random mic on the floor and throws it against the pier guy. Turns out the dead cannot fight you back, but the thing that pierced him starts moving. Yogiri returns its attention outside the bus again and realizes that thing is a huge wyvern. The monster flies up and decides to charge at the bus while preparing to breathe fire. Suddenly, Tomochika hugs him in despair. That moment rewires Yogiri's brain. The sensation of a plot-filled girl holding onto his arm changes his mind. He focuses his mind on opening a door and says one word, die. In the next second, the wyvern suddenly collapses onto the floor. Yogiri tells Tomochika that they're safe, but she's confused and asks about what's going on. Yogiri pulls out his console while telling her to calm down and tell him what happened. He started playing a video game, but she got mad mentioning this was not the time to play games. After watching him play for a bit, she simply tells him that he's trash and video games and starts giving him tips, but she quickly realizes about their situation and tells it's not the time. He asks if she's feeling better and she confirms. He tells her to start explaining how they got into this situation. Tomochika reveals their bus was driving casually through the night. However, after passing past the tunnel they found themselves in this strange field. Everyone was confused and she even asked her friend if the outside was always like that. However, her friend couldn't answer. Suddenly, a girl entered the bus and greeted everyone inside. She introduced herself as Shion, the granddaughter of the great sage. Their teacher got up to complain, but the girl simply popped his head right away. The girl then acted like nothing, telling the kids to calm down and pay attention without doing anything stupid. Everyone froze in shock, as the girl told them not to annoy her, otherwise, everyone would meet the same fate. She explains to them that her power level is 530,000. She then pops up the driver's head mentioning that was a joke and she expected them to laugh. She knows this isn't unfair, but that's how it works in a different world. She decides to then explain this whole thing to the students. She summoned everyone here because she's looking for sage candidates. She reveals this world is ruled by sages and their numbers are quite low. Therefore she summoned them as a way to get new personnel. She points out her hand forward while casting some magic. Tomochika thought everyone was going to get blasted and closed her eyes, but when she opened she saw several students glowing. However, she was one of the few who didn't glow. Shion then reveals she installed Battle Song version in all of the glowing students and they should see some logos on the screen. Tomochika is confused and asks her friend if she can see anything. Her friend uses her fingers to touch some air, explaining she sees some colorful letters saying status. Shion then reveals this system can only be used in this world and is called the gift, and everyone must use it to try and become sages within the next month. Tomochika raises her hand to ask a question. She claims that she didn't glow or see any of the logos. Shion simply replies that some people are not compatible and that she should deal with it. Tomochika gets shocked, especially when Shion reveals that if nobody becomes a sage, they will all become livestock to produce magical energy. Shion then explains their first mission will start in an hour and they should try to not get wiped out right away. She then walks away and Tomochika sits down, revealing that she doesn't understand anything. Her friend mentions there are some details regarding their mission on their screen. Turns out their job is to escape from the incoming dragon. Tomochika doesn't believe something like that exists. However, Yazaki, one of the guys, tries to act like a leader. He claims they should try to clear the mission and how they all need to work together, and for that reason they need to talk about their strengths and weakness. Everyone writes their name and stats on pieces of paper, but Tomochika realizes that there are 4 students including her, who didn't glow. However, one of them is Yogiri who's sleeping, cause who cares? They all complain about his carefree sleepy time until they notice everyone else stepping outside the bus. They also decide to go outside, but Tomochika stays behind to wake Yogiri up. The other girl tries to convince her to leave him behind, but they suddenly hear 2 guys arguing. Turns out Yazaki won't let the 4 come with them. The delinquent complains, but Yazaki tells him to shut up because his class is the general. He decides to turn into a douche, breaking the bus chairs, and explains that this is the power of a gift. He's only level 1, but he's way stronger than those 4 pleb humans. The other girl tells Yazaki that if he's strong, they should protect them. However, Yazaki replies this is part of the plan. Everyone is confused, and he tells the girl by his side to use his gift. She activates her charm ability, which doesn't affect anyone. Yazaki walks away, explaining the skill makes her popular with monsters. In short, there's a nearby dragon around, and by using that skill on them, the dragon will attack them while giving the rest a chance to escape, and this was a decision that everyone with gifts made. Tomochika cannot believe that her friend would betray her, but Yazaki reveals she actually did, but Tomochika knows that Yazaki must have forced her. Yazaki then steps outside and locks the door. They try to open it out for a while when they suddenly hear a noise outside. Tomochika thinks it's a dragon when suddenly something crashes against the bus. The guy freaks out and Tomochika notices the other taken out. After explaining the whole thing, Yogiri realizes there's a big problem. He has no way to recharge his console in this world. He then gets up, mentioning that according to Yazaki it's now safe outside. Tomochika asks if Yogiri did something, but he replies the dragon crashed onto the floor and died. She knows it's a lie, but they decide to get out through the window. Upon checking the surroundings, Yogiri notices they can go to the hills, city, or forest. Tomochika then points out that something is flying in the sky. After observing, she realizes it's 3 of their classmates. Yogiri is impressed by her sight at long range and asks if he should kill them. She asks what is wrong with his mind, but Yogiri simply replies they left them behind to die. Tomochika says he shouldn't talk about killing them. Yogiri's answer is that they could be hostile toward them. She's confused, but the guys start getting closer, also confused because the dragon is dead. One of them notices that Tomochika is still alive and complains that he was planning to turn her corpse into a zombie so that he could go wild. Yes, that type of wild. The guys talk between themselves, complaining about turning a corpse into a zombie and using her as weird. Hearing those words, Tomochika realizes they clearly cannot be friends. Suddenly, one of the guys casts a huge fireball that barely misses Tomochika. The guys keep talking between themselves how about they refine their magic and how one of them is a healer, the other a hero, and the last necromancer. The guy who cast the fireball then tells Tomochika to come to his side without resisting. She's confused about his request, but the 3 simply reveal they want to spend their fun time with her. Tomochika realizes they're all after her body. Yogiri is impressed that she has the guts to say that in that situation. The necromancer guy complains she and Yogiri seem too close, but Yogiri simply says he will manage even the conversation. He points at the fireball guy and tells him to die. The other 2 laugh it out, but get shocked to see the guy randomly hug the floor. They ask what happened and Yogiri replies he simply ordered him to die. He tells them to not move, but the necromancer tries to check on his friend. Yogiri tells him to die as well. Only Fatso remains and Yogiri says that if he moves, he will die. Yogiri promises to explain his ability and tells Fatso to check if the other 2 are truly dead. Fatso complies and uses his healing ability, mentioning he can cure anything in an instant. However, his friends don't move. Tomochika realizes that Yogiri is the one who killed the dragon, but he simply didn't want to explain what happened. She gets mad at those words, but Yogiri explains that Fatso is dumb, so he needs to explain in detail to him instead of her. Fatso complains the Yogiri went too far, but our boy simply explains he only did it because they tried to attack him. He then explains that his ability is called instant death to any target. In fact, he doesn't need to tell people to die, he just needs to think about it. Fatso says that's impossible, but Yogiri would love to test the theory. Fatso accepts the feed and tries to get close to Yogiri, pretending to be scared, but he's preparing to attack him with a magic attack. However, Yogiri simply tells him to stop. Fatso is confused and Yogiri explains that he also has an ability that allows him to know if someone has the intent to kill him or not, and to make it worse, he can combine the 2 abilities. In short, he doesn't need to know who's trying to kill him. Fatso gives up in tears and Yogiri asks why they're so cocky so early after getting those skills. Fatso then reveals this is the second time the three of them came to this world. They defeated the demon world and returned to their world. Yogiri asks Tomochika if the three missed any classes and she replies they didn't. Fatso reveals that when they returned home, only some hours had passed. Yogiri decides to kill him, but Fatso asks Tomochika to help him. Tomochika replies she is only alive because Yogiri saved her, therefore he should deal with it. Fatso calls her cold and pulls out an item, promising that if she puts it on him he will become her servant. In short, it's a slave collar and he puts it on himself. He acts like a pervert while walking toward her, but she tells him to stop. The collar starts strangling him and she asks if there's a way to stop being his master. Fatso obeys the order, mentioning that she can transfer it to another person. She does it, transferring to Yogiri, who decides to not kill him. Instead, Fatso should head to the forest full of monsters and wait there, but before leaving, Fatso should leave all his items and never tell anyone about the Yogiri and Tomochika. Fatso obeys orders and Tomochika asks if this is okay. Yogiri replies that Fatso will always betray them, therefore it's better this way. She then asks if he isn't suspicious that she might turn him in. Yogiri simply replies it is what it is, and after all he's the one who decided to protect her. She blushes, mentioning she doesn't know how to reply and that they never spoke much before. She asks why he decided to protect her. Yogiri initially replies he doesn't know why, but after Tomochika's insistence, he admits it was all because of her soft and juicy developed plot. She blushes and gets angry, complaining that men are all the same. Meanwhile, Shion is in bed doing whatever is that the guy comes to report, mentioning that the first mission was cleared with 4 casualties, 2 with no ability and 2 S ranks. He mentions the S ranks died instantly without warning and thinks it's an instant death magic. However, she returns the possibility and returns to bed. The story continues. We see Yogiri and Tomochika manage to reach the nearby city. Tomochika is happy about it, but Yogiri is feeling sleepy. They notice the guards closing on the gate and rush out to them. However, they cannot understand what the guards are saying. Still, they order them to wait until they call their lord. The lord appears and mentioning that this situation is annoying and asks if they got separated from the guys that came at noon. Tomochika gets happy as the guy can speak Japanese. However, Yogiri simply asks if the guy can let them in as they're trying to catch up with their colleagues. The guy gets annoyed, mentioning that usually people need to pay to get inside. However, he has orders to not get in the way of sage candidates. Yogiri then mentions his colleagues talking about heading to the capital and how they can get there. However, this ugly face simply tells that he won't get in their way or help them at all. Yogiri thanks him nevertheless and decides to leave. However, this trash-faced dude says that he wants Tomochika to spend the night in his house. She immediately rejects him and pulls Yogiri as she walks away. Upon getting inside the city, Yogiri asks why she ran. She replies that she was afraid that Yogiri was about to kill him. Yogiri gets confused and asks if she thinks he's a serial killer. However, she replies that she's surprised that he hasn't noticed that. Upon looking around, Tomochika gets excited because it looks like a fantasy city filled with beast folk. A fox girl named Mirio then approaches them asking if they are sage candidates. She asks if they are lost as it seems like it's their first time in the city. Tomochika gets hyped to see some cat ears, but Yogiri asks what she wants. The cat girl explains she wants to help them for free. The two get confused and ask why she would do that. Mirio explains she wants to get along with the sage candidate boys for 2 reasons. First, they have a guaranteed future, and second, they're easy to seduce. Tomochika thinks this girl has no salvation, but Mirio replies she doesn't want to seduce her boyfriend. She believes that the secret to building a great relationship comes from friendship. Tomochika explains they're not a couple, but Yogiri wants to know her opinion about their situation. She answers that she wants to look around the city before it gets dark since that's her goal. Yogiri asks Mirio to show them around. After Tomochika's shopping spree, she reveals that she never expected to wear this new type of clothes so casually. However, she's so blind that she doesn't notice that they're currently surrounded. Yogiri reveals that he was expecting to end up in this situation. Tomochika apologizes, mentioning that she wanted to follow Mirio because she looked kind. The bandits start their treats, but Yogiri protects the girl while asking if they want money. The bandits reveal they do want money, but their main goal is to get talentless sage candidates. He explains those who possess gifts usually go rampage in their city. Everyone hates them, but they cannot do anything to them. However, sage candidates who have no gifts are perfect to beat up and sell. Tomochika starts to freak out, but our Sigma Yogiri is still chilling. He replies that he understands the deal but asks permission to kill the bandits. The bandits mock, explaining they will be the ones who will be killing them. Tomochika tries to warn Miryu up, explaining that Yogiri is actually strong despite his looks. However, this stupid cat girl thinks this is all a bluff because two people without a sage gift are as useless as you in real life. Yet, Yogiri pulls his verbal death note and orders everyone behind him to die. In an instant everyone is down, the rest of the bandits get confused, but Yogiri continues his task, ordering the leopard dude to half die. However, the guy collapses and Yogiri realizes that it's impossible to be half dead. He decides to try something new and points at the KFC's ankle, ordering it to die. The guy collapses, but Yogiri thinks this was a mistake. He points at this bear dude's shoulder and orders it to die. The guy goes to the next world as well, and Tomochika says that Yogiri is so harsh. He reveals that he tried to go easy on them and orders this dog's eyeballs to die. The guy becomes blind, shocking everyone. Yogiri continues his onslaught, forcing Miryu to ask who he is. Yogiri doesn't reply, thinking that it's not efficient to kill individual body parts. Miryu tries to play the victim, asking for help as her little brothers are waiting for her to go home. Yet, Yogiri simply replies that's not a reason to steal and kill people. The last guy asks if he isn't talentless, but Yogiri points his finger at them and tells them to die. However, it doesn't work. They are still alive and try to run away. Tomochika asks if he is letting them go, but Yogiri replies he didn't, he simply delayed his order. The two bandits manage to hide themselves, but the death is activated. Yogiri tells Tomochika it's time to leave, but they're stopped by some guards who want to know about the situation. Yogiri lies and explains they got lost and found everyone dead on the floor. One of the guards reveals that's a lie because she saw everyone fall out of nowhere when they were about to attack the two. Tomochika gets angry because this clearly means the guards were watching but didn't help them. The guard explains they wanted to destroy the bandits' backer as well. Yogiri understands the guards wanted to let them get sold and then track the people who bought them. The guard confirms it and tells them that Yogiri cannot do anything to them because they're protected against gifts. However, one of the guards uses his appraisal skill and reveals that neither Yogiri nor Tomochika have gifts. The girl is shocked, but that clearly means they cannot do anything to the two because they have no powers. The guy apologizes because his captain is as rude as your everyday Karen, but Yogiri doesn't mind. He asks the dude if he knows a place where they could stay the night. They take them to a huge mansion, which shocks Tomochika as she thinks it's a castle. Yogiri asks if she's fine with sharing a room with him to save some cash, but she's shy about it. He then decides to ask for rooms next to each other. Upon getting inside her room, Tomochika gets happy because it's big but questions Yogiri's true intentions when he asked if she wanted to share a room. She then thinks about the current situation and wonders if he likes her. However, she quickly remembers that all he cares is about her juicy, fluffy plot. Suddenly, she looks forward and sees a spirit in the air. She notices how it resembles her older sister and asks how she got into this world. However, the spirit tells her they're different and introduces herself as Mokomoko, her ancestor and guardian spirit. Tomochika is confused about the last part, and the spirit reveals that she appeared to help her in this emergency. Tomochika asks why now and not earlier. However, the spirit reveals that she was afraid that Yogiri might erase her. Tomochika is surprised that his ability works in spirits. The spirit begs Tomochika to talk to him about her, this way he won't hurt her. She accepts and asks about the spirit coming here to help her. In short, the spirit reveals that it can protect her from anything but physical attacks. She also reveals the reason why Tomochika doesn't have a gift. It's because she protected her. Tomochika gets angry and asks her why, but the spirit reveals it was dangerous. The spirit then reveals that gifts have advantages, however, they also allow Shion to control her life. Tomochika, the other three, were also being protected by spirits, but her ancestor doesn't know about it. Still, the spirit is happy because she finally has a successor for her school of archery. However, Tomochika ignores her, mentioning that she wants to return to her world, but she can only rely on Yogiri for the moment. The spirit gets excited, mentioning that's the reason why teach her the true martial arts. The next morning, Yogiri notices that she seems tired. She reveals it's all due to the recent events and asks if they will catch up with the others. Yogiri explains that he met Celestina, one of the inn staff, and had her look for the others' location, prepare language translation, and some concealment items. Not only that, but Celestina created something that will enable him to charge up his console. Celestina hands them some tickets to leave the city and Yogiri asks her to keep all the items he has. The two later depart on a train and Tomochika's ancestor is still scared of Yogiri. Tomochika asks if he can see her ancestor, to which he reveals that he only saw her from the moment Tomochika talked about it. Tomochika then sits by his side and asks if they will be able to meet their colleagues. Yogiri replies that according to Celestina, their mates should be moving around the primeval forest to train. Suddenly, he turns to her and pushes her down. A huge explosion blows the ceiling away, confusing her. Meanwhile, in the previous city, the guards are trying to interrogate the dog, who is blinded by Yogiri. The guy won't talk and they explain that healing magic doesn't work. There's a sage woman named Lane finds it interesting and pulls out one of the dog's eyes. She casts her healing magic to reconstruct the whole eye, but the dog still cannot see. She finds it more interesting and decides to reveal herself as a vampire. She bites the guy to transform the guy to increase his abilities and heal him, but the guy is still blind. Suddenly the building starts to shake and a guy known as the hero appears inside. The hero attacks Lane with several slashes, but she only complains that she likes her dress. The guards are confused because she took not damage, but in reality she just healed instantly. The hero throws his sword at the floor and Lane asks why is he attacking her when he should be dealing with the demon lord. The hero calls her a tyrant and prepares an attack. He explodes the whole building and is happy that he finally managed to kill a sage for Ariel. However, Lane is still alive and asks if Ariel is his lover. The hero is shocked and cannot believe that Lane managed to avoid the attack. Lane, however, explains that she didn't move at all because she cannot die. The hero is confused because his attack should have deleted her, but she only thinks that would be great if that was possible. In the end, the hero begs to be killed, but she simply throws him off the building. Back on the train, a message orders the passengers to stay put as there's a sage fighting an aggressor. Yogiri thinks they're safe as nobody is after them, but Tomochika doesn't know what's going on. They look around and see a huge mecha robot which Yogiri realizes is the aggressor. Tomochika uses her amazing sight to tell him the sage is floating. The sage launches several attacks at the robot, but their battle is pretty, even destroying mountains during fights it's pretty common. Tomochika asks if Yogiri can get rid of those two, but he asks her why should he do it. She claims they're on their way, but Yogiri explains that's stupid because he could use that same reason to kill everyone who walks in front of him. She tries to explain that they could have died just now, but Yogiri says they aren't targeting them. He reveals that he has some rules to use his power, otherwise he would simply kill everyone who annoys him. She apologizes for being naive when suddenly there is a huge attack coming in their way. Luckily, the robot takes the attack. The sage complains the robot is moving and attacks with a huge ice spell. The passengers get frozen, but Yogiri manages to protect Tomochika. Tomochika calls the sage cruel, but he gets annoyed. Yogiri asks why did he attack them, but the sage tells him to kneel down and praise him like a dog. He starts insulting Yogiri, but Yogiri insults him back and thinks about killing him. The sage falls flat on the floor and Tomochika asks if he did it. He simply replies he had a good enough reason to do it. The robot approaches them but reveals that he has no intention to fight. The robot wants to negotiate with Yogiri, promising to give him anything he wants. Tomochika realizes the robot is afraid of Yogiri, but our boy asks if there's a way to return to their world. The robot mentions he knows a way to return to the world where he came from, not where they came. Yogiri asks if the robot can take them there, but the robot refuses because his entire being is not in this world. Plus, the robot refuses to bring someone as dangerous as Yogiri to his world. He then explains that this world is at one of the lowest levels and climbing up requires a huge amount of energy and the right coordinates. Yogiri then asks the robot to give him advice on how to find the energy and coordinates to return to his world. He then asks if Tomochika wants something, but her spirit interrupts. Later that day, the guards find out the sage that defeated by Yogiri. Shion also finds out about them while talking with Lane and finds it curious they managed to kill a sage. Lane is interested in Yogiri's instant death ability, but Shion reveals that the sage is supposed to have instant death resistance. Shion then leaves and Lane tells her subordinate to head to Hanabusa City and find out Yogiri and Tomochika. Meanwhile, the two rest for the night in the woods, where Tomochika's ancestor reveals that she turned her underwear into a katana. The story continues. We see they walk through the forest until they reach Hanabusa City. Tomochika happily mentions that it looks like Japan but notices that Yogiri has a poor physical condition. Yogiri, however, replies that's normal because he killed enemies on their way. She gets confused but when looks back notices monsters and bandits who try to attack them. She asks that since he's tired his power must have a limit, yet Yogiri replies that he can use it as much as he wants but he will feel tired after using it. They get inside the city and the spirit notices there are barriers instead of walls. Tomochika looks around and sees the huge hotel the previous lady told them about. They decide to stay there and get inside where they meet Tachibana, their classmate. He's happy to see Tomochika and she asks why he's here instead of being with the others. Tachibana replies he's split with them because they're inefficient with their leveling. Yet, there's a maid girl who isn't happy with Tomochika being friendly towards Tachibana. The guy tells her to calm down because they're classmates. The girl shuts up. But there's another one who praises Tachibana. Tomochika is confused and asks Yogiri if he knows what is this all about, but he doesn't. Tachibana then introduces them to the maid girls, mentioning they're his bodyguards. There are a total of 5 girls severing this piece of trash. The 5 girls introduce themselves but also use this chance to threaten Tomochika. She doesn't understand what is this all about. But Tachibana apologizes because he's a beta who isn't strict with girls. He orders the girls to shut up and Yogiri asks Tomochika if this guy also left them behind. He mentions that he doesn't know what kind of ability Tachibana has, but he seems quite confident. Yet, Tomochika reveals that this loser has always been like this. He was always popular with girls and a narcissist. Yogiri is surprised, mentioning that school is more interesting than he thought. Suddenly, this trash calls this fate and invites Tomochika to become his lover. He knows this was sudden to ask, but Tomochika is shocked. The guy goes on telling her to not worry about Yogiri. He doesn't usually accept guys, but he can give him some special treatment. Tomochika is shocked because this guy still keeps going. Even Yogiri mentions that he doesn't feel killing intent thanks to this nonsense. Tomochika asks why he is so confident and Tachibana replies he has the dominator class. In short, he can dominate everyone who's weaker than him. She's still shocked by his words and mentions that he hasn't leveled up that much when compared to the others who are training in the primeval forest. This trash thinks she's into him and decides to explain everything. It all started when they threw a party after completing their first mission. Furai's came to him and gave him some advice. Furai's class is a consultant. In short, he's a master plotter and scammer. Furai's mentioned how everyone was avoiding Tachibana because of his class and mentioned that if someone doesn't become a sage, everyone will become livestock, and that's why he tells Tachibana that he should buy a large number of the cheapest level 1 servants. In short, the servants will fight for him, and if they win the battle, the opponent will become his servant but also get the experience points. Yet, Tachibana mentions that his abilities don't have that information. Furai's reveals that his consulting class allows him to see the hidden details of others. Tachibana wants to know why Furai's is trying to help, but our master plotter just wants to make sure that everyone has a chance to become a sage and wishes him good luck. After that story, Tomochika thinks support types are too strong in this world. Yogiri understands that while they're speaking, Tachibana's number of servants and level is rising. The cocky guy confirms it and asks Tomochika again to become his lover. She rejects him, but he tells her to think about it and reply later. He leaves the place and she reveals that he's annoying. Still, Yogiri thinks it would be safer for her to be by Tachibana's side when compared to him. She asks if he's trying to make her angry, but he doesn't understand her reaction. Later, Yogiri is resting on his bed while Tomochika wonders how long they're supposed to stay in that place. The spirit says they should leave after Yogiri wakes up, but Tomochika replies it's been already 3 days. She asks the spirit to check on him, but the spirit refuses to because she doesn't know what he will do to her. Tomochika then mentions that she's tired of staying inside and wants to go outside for a while. Suddenly, she sees some smoke on the streets. This is because the guy whom Lane told to take care of Yogiri is coming into the city and destroying everything. The guy announces that his immortal army is recruiting and that if the citizens die, they will become zombie soldiers. The spirit tells Tomochika this isn't good as it smells like death. Tomochika gets shocked and asks how this world can be so weird because people easily die here. Meanwhile, the other guy's maid is walking in the corridor while invisible. The spirit then asks if Tomochika doesn't want to go outside, but she rejects it, mentioning it's way more comfortable inside. The spirit says they cannot stay here forever, especially when an enemy is targeting her right now, but they cannot see it. Tomochika is confused and asks what they can do against someone they can't see. She decides to call Yogiri's room to wake him up, but the spirit thinks she's relying on him too much. Meanwhile, the phone rings while Yogiri dreams about his childhood. He remembers waking up to his dog licking his face and Asaka telling him that breakfast was ready. He then wakes up from his dream and picks up the phone, promising to go to Tomochika's room. Upon stepping outside, he sees the corridor is empty. However, the maid is invisible and pulls out a dagger. Yogiri closes his eyes and focuses on sensing the killing intent, and he manages to see the girl and finds out that she plans to target Tomochika. He pulls out his mental death note and the girl falls onto the floor. He gets inside Tomochika's room and explains there was someone outside her room to kill her. Tomochika is confused about why she would be targeted, but Yogiri simply calls the reception to say there's someone collapsed in the hallway. Tomochika asks why he did that, but he replies they would suspect them if he didn't. Meanwhile, Tachibana receives an alert mentioning that his maid's signal has disappeared, but he must worry about the other monster inside this dungeon. The monster attacks him, but he uses the barrier to block it. He thinks this is boring and uses the barrier to attack, mutilating the monster's arm. One servant is quite happy, mentioning that he's way too strong for monsters on the 100th floor. The monster asks who Tachibana is, but this guy uses his menu to use a flare bomb skill. The monster is defeated and he then steps on him to make a contract. The monster calls him master and the girl casts heal to restore its body parts. Tachibana then asks how many floors there are in this dungeon and finds out it's 150. He then orders the monster to head to the bottom floor and collect more servants. The monster leaves and Tachibana asks where the maidservant is. The other girl replies she should be in the hotel. Tachibana then decides to use his skill to see her memories, but just watches her collapse. He thinks she was attacked from behind, but the other girl doesn't think she would let someone sneak on her. He then asks why the maid in the hallway was, to which the girl replies that there are two possibilities. First, she wanted to bring Tomochika and make him happy. Second, she wanted to eliminate Tomochika. He gets confused because that would be inconvenient to him. The girl explains that his servants' opinions don't always matches. He gets worried because that might make Tomochika run away from him and orders two other servants to hold her in place. Back at the hotel, Tomochika realizes that it was Tachibana's maid and Yogiri thinks that this is bad. He tells Tomochika to prepare her stuff to leave this place. She confirms it, but he's surprised that she's really calm in this situation. Tomochika replies that she's used to seeing dead people while by his side. The spirit adds up, mentioning that humans will die anyway, plus her family members shouldn't be upset over something so basic. Tomochika gets angry and tells the spirit to stop talking about philosophy. They start running away, but another Tachibana servant appears asking where they are going. Yogiri asks what she wants, but the girl casts a spell to restrain him inside an ice crystal. She happily reveals that her trash boss asked to bring Tomochika to him. Yet, Yogiri simply punches the ice and gets free. The girl and Tomochika are confused because it should be easy to break it, yet Yogiri replies that he tried to kill the ice, which worked. Tomochika is confused and asks what he means by killing the ice. The servant is in shock and starts casting more magic, yet Yogiri kills the magic and then her staff. The girl falls to her knees and he explains that he can kill anything he thinks about. Therefore she should be a good girl and answer some questions. She accepts and he asks if she can use magic without a staff. The girl reveals that due to her class, she can only use magic when holding staff. Yogiri knows this means that she must have some spare ones. The girl confirms and pulls another one from Happyland. Tomochika asks why she is hiding it there, but also tells Yogiri to stop looking. He's surprised because he didn't expect that she could use them in that way. He then talks about what she just said about taking Tomochika to Tachibana and asks about the others. She answers that everyone received the same order. Suddenly, another girl is on the ceiling and tries to attack Tomochika. She quickly uses her judo skills to put the girl down. Yogiri is surprised, but the spirit mentions that Tomochika's martial art talents are awakening. However, when they properly look at the girl, they notice it's a doll. More dolls surround them and the other girl pulls another one from her hair, mentioning that she thought she could do this on her own. Yogiri's eyes shine and the girl drops dead onto the floor. The girl who controls the dolls is sitting on the stairs and orders them to deal with it but to let Tomochika live. However, Yogiri kills every doll. The girl starts to panic and they manage to find her. She begs them to not kill her, making Tomochika feel like they're the real villains. Meanwhile, Tachibana feels again that his servant is dead and the little girl has lost her will to fight and told Yogiri and Tomochika everything. Upon hearing the conversation, he tells the other maids that Yogiri can kill anything just by thinking. They all find it hard to believe it, but Tachibana thinks they should observe them first and lead them to a place where they can ambush them. Tomochika and Yogiri start walking down the stairs until they see it filled with cockroaches. She screams in fear, and when Yogiri is about to say its name, she stops him because it will traumatize her. The spirit knows Tachibana is using the insects to watch over them. Tomochika asks if Yogiri can kill them, which he confirms, but the insects will reign over their heads. She refuses that idea, but he mentions they could enter her mouth and suffocate her. She imagines it and decides to get revenge on Tachibana. The spirit mentions that Tachibana could make the whole world their enemy. Tachibana watches the situation thinking that Yogiri cannot do anything. He thinks about using the cockroaches to make them scream and chase them. However, his maid says that he should be careful because they don't know about Yogiri's power. He refuses to give up and orders the cockroaches to kill Yogiri. They all activate the bloodlust, making Tamika feel scared. Yogiri says they should kill Tachibana because he thinks it won't take too much effort. He uses the roach's killing intent to track Tachibana's position and tells him to die. Tachibana collapses on the floor, making all his servants shocked. Yet, Tomochika is freaking out because he failed and the cockroaches are still alive. Yogiri explains his power never fails because if his enemies can reach him, he can also reach them. After all, the world won't let someone act without consequences. Tomochika notices the roaches are more active, and he explains that's because Tachibana's death has set them free. She panics, but he grabs her arm and tells her to run. Meanwhile, Tachibana's servants are still trying to heal him from the dead. The other one tells her they're free now and walks away. Yogiri and Tomochika then walk through an alley to leave the city, but they suddenly hear screams. Upon checking, they see the city filled with zombies. The story continues. We see zombies start wreaking havoc in the city and Tomochika questions what is happening. Yogiri, however, mentions the zombies are slow and it should be possible to escape if they're careful. Tomochika asks if they cannot help, and Yogiri replies it will be hard to save the city. Even the spirit tells them to get out before everything gets worse. Meanwhile, the city mayor complains about Masayuki, who released the zombies into the city, explaining that Lane the vampire sage gave him the city managing rights. Masayuki simply tells him to not worry because the sage candidate era is under Lien, plus the mayor shouldn't be worried because they fought the same battles. The mayor replies Masayuki already died and became an undead and therefore he should group his zombies and leave the city. The zombie dude, however, reveals this was Lane's order. He tells the mayor to hand him the key to the city. Since it's an order, the mayor gives him the key and asks what he will be doing. However, Masayuki replies it's nothing important. He then uses the speakers around the city to order his zombies to stop moving. The undead then introduces himself to every citizen and uses a huge screen to show Yogiri and Tomochika's pictures. He explains that he's searching for them and the remaining humans should bring them to the central plaza within 1 hour. If the citizens don't do it, he will make his zombies move again. At that same moment, Yogiri and Tomochika were trying to sneak outside the city. They hear everything the other guy has said, but also hear that he locked the whole city to prevent everyone from running. With this, every citizen understands they have two options: to capture Yogiri and Tomochika or to become a zombie. The mayor suddenly enters the room the other guy is speaking from, complaining about hurting the citizens. However, the guy replies that if he didn't threaten them, they would never look for the other two. Everyone around the city starts looking for the other two, which forces them to hide in alleys. Tomochika thinks humans are now way more dangerous than zombies, but Yogiri replies they must run to avoid being found. Tomochika then asks why they are being chased. Yogiri thinks about it and replies it must probably be because he killed the other sage. Suddenly, 3 guys manage to find them and promise to take the 2, even if it means killing them. Yogiri thinks this was quite fast and warns the guys that if they get close he will kill them. One of the guys ignores him and tries to attack, forcing Yogiri to mentally death note him. The others start to panic and Tomochika starts complaining about this being a disgusting way to carry out a promise. Yogiri replies these guys are trying to kill them, so they should also expect to be killed. He then notices the other 2 running away and thinks Masayuki is only instigating this because they think Yogiri cannot kill a normal person. He reveals that he's now annoyed and thinks about going to the plaza to negotiate with Masayuki. They head out to meet him but find the place to be quite grim, as if it was Halloween. Tomochika even thinks this is the most fantasy-like stuff she has seen in this world. Upon getting close, Yogiri asks who's Masayuki. The guy initially doesn't recognize them and asks if they came here because they gave up running. He calls them boring for trying to sacrifice themselves for the people, but Yogiri calls him stupid. Tomochika starts to panic after hearing those words and Masayuki asks what Yogiri wants because if he kills him the game is over. Yogiri replies he wants to get on a train and go to the royal capital. Therefore, it would be kind of Masayuki if he removes the barrier around the city. Masayuki is shocked to hear those words and gets angry. He starts complaining, mentioning that Yogiri is in a bad position to negotiate right now. Yogiri realizes that's true and thinks he must have something to offer. Therefore, he simply says that he will let Masayuki live, even though he should that would be a bad thing. Masayuki gets even angrier, calling Yogiri crazy and asking if he wants to die right now. He orders his Immortal Core army to attack Yogiri, explaining that Yogiri cannot kill something that is already dead, but as you expect, our boy orders them to die and they all collapse. Masayuki is shocked because he cannot understand what's going on, and the mayor uses this chance to say he's not involved in anything. Yet, Masayuki wants to know how the dead just died. Yogiri replies he also doesn't know about it, but since the undead were moving, it pretty much means they were alive. Tomochika then complains about how Yogiri ignored what just happened but just answered it. Masayuki still could not believe what had just happened, but Yogiri gave the biggest Chad answer: he's the one who decides what's dead. In short, if it moves it's alive, if they stop they're dead. Masayuki gets angry and calls out his master Lane, but Yogiri simply asks what he is going to do since his comrades are already dead. The guy gets down and refuses to accept Yogiri's instant death ability. He starts transforming into a mix of Batman with werewolf, but Yogiri tells him to die. Tomochika complains she wanted to see the transformation first. Yet, Yogiri doesn't understand why he should do it. She then asks what they're going to do now because they cannot negotiate with the dead undead. However, Yogiri says that's not a problem and approaches the mayor. The guy panics and begs to stay alive, promising that he just wants his city to stay safe. Yogiri simply replies they just did this to protect themselves. The mayor then explains this is all because Sage Lane ordered Masayuki to kill the two. Upon hearing that name, Tomochika questions if Shion isn't the real name. The mayor then explains that Shion is also a sage, but this city is under Lane's control. Tomochika is confused because they came to this world because of Shion and now another sage wants to kill them. The mayor explains he doesn't know much about it, but he doesn't usually interfere with sage candidates. The spirit then calls out Yogiri, but he replies that he already knows that there's some sort of spiritual manipulation heading to that area. Suddenly, Yogiri starts feeling killing intent all around the plaza. Every citizen gears near, making everyone confused. The mayor then checks Masayuki's body, explaining that if they're using spirit magic, then the city barriers should keep them safe. He tries to activate the key, but it doesn't work. He then realizes that Lane is the one controlling the barrier. Meanwhile, Lane is trying to direct a huge monster towards the city. Her new vampire servant, which is one of Tachibana's slaves that she transformed, complains this is dangerous. Lane, however, explains that Tachibana got killed from a distance because his hostility was traced. Lane asks how she rates Yogiri's threat level, and the servant replies it's above a sage or any mythical being. She wants Lane to stay away from Yogiri, but Lane refuses to. Lane realizes that despite her servant knowing that she's immortal, she's worried about her. That means that Yogiri must be some sort of god of death. Meanwhile, inside the city, Tomochika asks if Yogiri cannot kill the source controlling the citizens. He replies this is different than Tachibana's case. He starts killing everyone who tries to attack them and people fall one by one. He feels like this is just a test like they used to do to him when he was a kid. Yogiri then notices the mayor in a panic to see his citizens die in front of him. He tells him to get closer, but Lane reveals that her plan is to cause Yogiri's death indirectly. She then creates another clone of herself and orders her clone to fly up and create even more clones. Yogiri notices the killing intent gets stronger, but Tomochika then notices the dark aggressor. The huge aggressor destroys everything he passes through and they begin to panic. Yet, at the same time, Lane reveals that since her clones know nothing about Yogiri, they have no killing intent toward him. She then orders his clones to attack the city. When the aggressor either tries to attack or dies, Tomochika then asks Yogiri if he can kill the aggressor. He replies yes, which shocks her because she didn't expect it. The mayor begs Yogiri to save the city, but he has a bad feeling about doing it. Nevertheless, he orders the aggressor to die, and while it's taking effect, he notices the city being attacked from the air. He saves Tomochika from being hit, but she wonders if this attack came from the aggressor. Yogiri reveals he killed the aggressor. However, this attack blended with the darkness's killing intent to remain unnoticed. He realizes this attack has no target, but the goal is to destroy everyone in it. He thinks everything until now was just a test, but Tomochika tells him to stop enjoying his new pillow. They then get up and Yogiri explains he doesn't know what's happening. Upon looking at the sky, Tomochika explains she sees several women in a dress raining from the sky. The mayor realizes that Lane, and Tomochika asks if Yogiri can do anything to her. He explains that he cannot do anything because she isn't aiming at him, plus they're all moving so fast that he cannot find them. In short, this all planned to deal with his skill. Since all women look the same, Tomochika asks how many Lanes exist. The mayor then reveals their clones because Lane has super regeneration abilities. Upon hearing that, Yogiri reveals he can deal with it, but it would be easier if she aimed at him. The mayor then brings out a hologram of the city and explains there's a pattern to the attacks. It doesn't attack the same place twice, and the attacks aren't also made close to each other. The spirit even calls Lane dumb because she's trying to make it random, but she made it consistent instead. Tomochika thinks they can use this information to predict where will be the next attack. The mayor quickly realizes where it will be, and Yogiri says he will be heading there. The mayor then reveals he will help him with his teleportation ability. Yet, Tomochika also wants to come. Yogiri tells her to hide, but says she's the only one who can see everything. The spirit also wants to help, and they decide to teleport away. Yogiri and Tomochika hold hands, and she leads him to where the clone will hit. He orders the clone to die, and the spirit uses an ability to create a shield around them. After the impact, the shield is retrieved and Tomochika is relieved because she thought she would die. Yogiri then notices something on Tomochika's hand and asks what it is. In short, the spirit used its power to combine some of Tomochika's underwear with the power of the previous aggressor that can transform into a shelter. Yet, the spirit is worried because defeating the clones won't help in the endgame. Yogiri however replies it's all fine. The clones then fall and disappear, making Lane question how immortal vampires can die. Her servant tells her they shouldn't target Yogiri, but Lane replies she just needs to make new clones with different settings. Suddenly, there's a strange feeling in her body and she realizes her true body, which was hidden in another dimension, is dead. She then goes on a bungee jumping without rope, but thinks this is how she saved the girl. She suddenly disappears and Tomochika realizes there aren't any attacks coming. With this they return to the mayor to get everything ready and escape. Meanwhile, in a random house a young girl wakes up and notices her bed looks like a coffin. She thinks she's a vampire and sees a rock in her hand. The rock shows Lane's hologram explaining that her plan was successful and she died while the girl survived. She then tells the girl that she is a younger clone made from her who didn't get her memories to avoid being targeted by Yogiri. Back in the city, the mayor thanks them for their help and gets them a card telling them to be careful. Upon getting inside, Tomochika complains that Yogiri is playing games instead of driving. He explains that's because he always crashes his car into walls when he plays games. Therefore he cannot drive. With that, Tomochika is ready to drive and the spirit reveals that her family has the skills to drive anything. Tries to wake up Yogiri by driving through a canyon and convinces him to drive. Yet Yogiri is dreaming about the moment he met Asaka, his foster mother. That day, Asaka was taking a job interview to work for a research institute, but upon reading the contract, she noticed a clause that she couldn't complain if the job was the cause of her death. She tries to obviously reject it and leave, however, they force her to sign it. She thought this was the base of an evil organization, but Yukio the interviewer tried to dismiss it. While taking the lift, she wanted to know the details about her job. Yet, Yukio replied that she simply had to take care of a monster. She's shocked to hear it, but Yukio explains they do cursed experiments in their institute. Upon reaching the bottom floor, she notices how dark it is with something written on the doors. Yukio explains that's a scripture. She asks where he is taking her and he reveals it's to her workplace while taking another lift. He asks if she knows about Alpha Omega, since she doesn't. He explains that it means everything or eternity, and that's the name of the test subject she will be taking care of. Asaka asks if that subject is human, but Yukio cannot give her an answer because he has never seen it. All he knows is that Alpha Omega can kill anything he wants just by thinking. Asaka cannot believe they expect her to take care of a monster like that. Yet, Yukio replies that's possible because she has a teacher's license. She realizes that's the only reason she got this job, but Yukio tries to explain that if she doesn't do it, humanity could perish. He explains they think they can only avoid that outcome by providing him with an adequate education. She complains because there are other people more suitable for this job. Yukio reveals she's the perfect fit for the job. After finally reaching the final floor, she notices a vault door. Yukio explains he cannot get further from here and gives her some papers with instructions. He wishes her good luck and takes the lift up. She uses her card to open the vault and upon stepping inside notices how it's not what she expected. She follows the map and reaches a house, but she doesn't seem to find anybody inside. She then hears some noise from a room and opens the door. She then sees that Alpha Omega is just a little innocent kid. Despite the shock, she complains about everyone being scared of a little kid and picks him up. She goes outside and throws him onto the floor, telling him to be a normal kid and play outside. The kid is confused but points his finger at her. She gets scared after remembering that he can kill anything just by thinking. Suddenly she hears something dropping to the floor and sees some sort of shadow. The kid revealed the thing was hiding in her shadow just to get here. She asks about it and he calls it a demon, while also revealing they often come there to kill him. Asaka is confused and the kid tells her that he doesn't mind playing outside, but asks if he can do it tomorrow because it's almost evening. Asaka realizes she forgot about it after losing her head and helps him get up. She introduces herself and asks the kid for his name. He replies they call him Alpha Omega, but before he came there, he was called Lord Okakushi. He then tells her that he's hungry, making her realize that she must also prepare his meals. She checks the fridge and realizes that she cannot cook at all. While checking every kitchen compartment, she finds some cup noodles and gives him to eat. Upon tasting, the kid mentions he likes it, but Asaka is still thinking about his name. She asks about his parents, but the kid doesn't know what's a parent. She apologizes and upon looking at him, she thinks about a dog and names him Yogiri. The kid asks if Takatou Yogiri sounds good. Asaka doesn't understand why he's using her family name but realizes that he doesn't know what's a family. She decides to let him use that name and teaches him how to handshake and greet someone. Meanwhile, Tomochika wakes him up to tell him about the boulder in their path. She mentions how he was asleep for the whole time, but he explains that it's because he used too much power in the last city. Yogiri then asks the most important question: why are they even going to the capital? Tomochika is shocked because he could have asked that question before they left. Yogiri explains their goal to return to Japan, and to do that, they must talk to Shion, but he thinks there's a better way to talk to her without going to the capital. Tomochika replies their classmates are all going there. She then starts driving back hoping that she can find another route to take them to the capital, but they suddenly bump into something. Upon checking outside, they see a dragon who prepares to attack them, but Yogiri orders it to die. Tomochika feels relieved until she notices a lot more dragons flying their way. Yogiri realizes they're in their territory. The dragons prepare to breathe fire and Tomochika grabs his arm, asking him to do something. Since the dragons have killing intent, Yogiri orders them all to die. The dragons start raining down, making Tomochika even compare it to a dragon insecticide commercial. She sighs in relief until she notices they're being covered by the big shadow. Upon looking up, she sees a huge golden thunder dragon in front of them. She starts freaking out thinking she will be struck by lightning, but Yogiri reveals he doesn't sense any killing intent. The dragon looks at them and tells them they have passed. Tomochika is confused by those words, but the dragon turns around and flies away in panic. Yet Yogiri yells at it to wait and asks why the dragons attack them, if they can understand. The dragon ignores him, but Yogiri promises that he will do the same thing he did to the other dragons. Turns out the huge dragon is actually a little girl who's shaking in fear. She knew she should have flown away without talking. Tomochika is confused about her new appearance, and the spirit reveals it happens a lot in parallel worlds. Yogiri asks why the girl attacked them. The girl explains she was trying to see if they were qualified to meet the sword master. Yogiri and Tomochika are confused by those words. The girl asks if they haven't come to see the sword saint. They respond they couldn't give less of a cat because all they want is to get to the capital. The girl explains the sword saint is in this canyon and that if they meet them they could get a gift. In short, she's only here to test people who want to meet him. However, our duo still couldn't care more about it. The little girl goes on to say how great the sword dude is, mentioning he can rival the sages. With that, Yogiri thinks he must have some information on how to return to their original world, yet Tomochika thinks they shouldn't take a detour because they're already lost. The little girl uses this chance to propose a deal. She will guide them to the capital, but first they must meet the sword dude. They accept the deal and she introduces herself as Adela. After a quick drive, they reach a spot where several people are gathered waiting for the sword dude. Everyone starts complaining about them cheating for coming in a vehicle. Yogiri is confused about everyone's words, but Adela explains that today is the selection for the Knight of the Holy King. In short, if someone becomes a Knight of the Holy King, they can become the Sword Saint disciple. Therefore everyone here is aiming to become the next Sword Saint. Another guy looks at them and says they've been disqualified despite working so hard, yet another voice says the selection hasn't started, therefore nobody has been disqualified. Everyone then sees the Sword Saint. The old man then gives everyone their first trial, which is a battle royal to the death, until he tells them to stop. Tomochika cannot believe the old geezer, but Yogiri asks the old guy if he can leave. Adela is confused, but the old man creates a rule that if Yogiri leaves the place, everyone will be disqualified. Everyone starts killing each other while Yogiri and Tomochika watch. A random group suddenly targets them, and since Yogiri has no other option, he decides to kill them, yet a random dude comes forth promising to protect them. The random guy calls everyone a fool, mentioning they're all misunderstanding the sword dude's intention. He thinks this is a test to determine if they have the right personality to become a Knight of the Holy King. Tomochika thinks he's a decent person, but the spirit mentions he's skilled. The guy deals with multiple opponents at the same time, yet he doesn't have the intention to kill them. Some random guys start casting magic towards Yogiri, but he simply orders them to die. The random dude is confused about why they fell, but concludes it must have been the old guy punishing the lawless ones. Since everyone had given up on fighting them, he turned to the duo asking them to stay for a while longer while he protected them. Suddenly, the two hear a voice asking for help on the ground. They see a guy who was sliced in half trying to crawl and asking for a stone. Tomochika sees a rainbow-colored stone next to her and places it on his hand. The guy then crushes the stone and somehow regenerates his body. He thanks her for the help, but the sword guy tells them to stop and follow him because their numbers are lower now. He walks into the forest and Tomochika wonders what they should do. Adela begs them to stay and participate. Yogiri is confused because she just wanted them to meet the Sword Saint. She then explains that if her recommendation becomes the Knight of the Holy King, she will become their servant. Yogiri thinks this is becoming troublesome, but since they haven't gotten any info, he will follow along. As they move, the other guys introduce themselves as Rick and the crystal guy as Linnell. He explains he was forced to accompany his friend to this trip. Yogiri asks Rick about the Sword Saint and Knight of the Holy King. Rick explains there that a holy knight deals with the gods who have been sealed away, which they call demons. He reveals the devil appeared 1,000 years ago and was sealed by the Holy King of that same era. Yogiri isn't sure the devil is still a threat after being sealed for so long, but Rick explains some followers are trying to unseal him. Tomochika also uses this chance to ask Linnell about the stone he had. He calls it an apology stone that can heal him from serious injuries or even be used as gacha tokens. Tomochika is confused, but he explains that his luck is negative. He quickly reveals that he turned into a sacrifice of a mysterious organization before coming to this world. Suddenly a goddess appeared to him and gave him those stones. Tomochika uses this chance to ask the spirit if gods like to control people's destinies. The spirit replies that some people are guarded by spirits, but there are also some people whose fate gets decided by God. Rick asks what a gacha is and Linnell decides to show it off. He needs to use 3 stones per pole and throw them into the air. Suddenly a normal scrub brush appears and he proudly explains he can exchange them for a random trash item, yet Tomochika notices that he only has 3 stones left in his back. Linnell pathetically explains that he gets new stones every midnight, depending on how unlucky his day was. Suddenly they see the other participants vanishing, but Adela tells them to not worry because that's an invisible barrier. Upon getting inside they see a huge tower, but the spirit orders Tomochika to leave this place because she senses some evil miasma from the tower. Suddenly Linnell starts throwing up and the spirit explains he got hit by the miasma. The spirit explains Tomochika is only feeling fine because she's being protected. Meanwhile, Yogiri is looking around and notices something. Linnell uses this stone and gets resistance to the miasma. Yogiri then asks Adela if it's fine to get inside the tower, but she isn't there. Rick explains that only people taking the trial are allowed inside. They get inside the tower and take an elevator to go to the highest floor. There the old guy tells them to look down. They see a huge energy ball and the old man explains that's the end of the world. Upon looking down, Tomochika sees monsters frozen in time during a huge battle. She notices there's a man in black and a woman in white at the center. She tells Yogiri the woman's sword is piercing the two and Rick explains that's the Holy King and the devil. The old guy explains his job is to guard this place. Suddenly a girl named Frederica thinks this will all end if they beat the things inside the ball. Linnell calls her name, revealing that she's the friend who dragged him here. She tells the old man that his duty will end today and throws a huge fireball inside the energy ball. She's confident it's all over now, but the attack barely moves upon getting inside the energy ball. The old man explains that time flows slowly inside the barrier. Therefore, it will take some 100 years before it reaches the Dark Lord. The girl is shocked, but the old man points to another girl explaining she will give the details of their trial. She reveals their goal is to go from the roof to the first floor of the tower within 24 hours. A girl asks if they can jump down from the roof, but the other replies they must first accumulate 100 points inside the tower. The duo notices they haven't seen her before but notice that some other participants have been added. Tomochika ignores it and asks if Yogiri cannot kill the Dark God with his ability. However, she realizes that he has no reason to do it. She then looks at him but he seems nervous. He then reveals he tried to kill the source of the miasma and turns out he killed the Dark God. The story continues. They then decide to get inside the tower to reach the bottom floor and leave. The other two try to follow them, but Lionel's friend tells him to stop. She asks for his special stones to restore her magic power. He hands her a stone while explaining that it can only be used by him. Since she cannot use it, she throws the stone and complains about him following her despite being useless. Rick advises them to move on, and once inside, they see several participants collapsed. He mentions the tower should be filled with monsters and traps. However, it should be easy to go through them because they're in last place. He tells them to avoid the missing traps, but Lionel immediately steps in one. He gets stabbed by a javelin but quickly heals himself with a crystal. Tomochika advises him to always hold a crystal in his hand. He thinks that's a good idea and uses some piece of cloth to tie the crystal down. That gives him enough confidence to go in front of everyone. Despite Rick's warning to wait, Lionel decides to open a door and go inside the room. However, the door closes and all they can hear is Lionel screams and stabbing sounds. They force their way into the door, but find a girl dressed as a maid inside. Rick recognizes her as Teresa and asks what's going on. She tells him not to judge her because this is just another way to get points. Rick doesn't understand why Teresa is participating in the trial despite already being a knight, yet she reveals that her qualifications were revoked after killing too many people by mistake, and that's why she's taking the trial again. Rick tells everyone to run away, but Tomochika notices that's impossible because the room is filled with thin wires. Teresa notices Tomochika has good eyes and is disappointed because they didn't fall for the trap. Rick then decides to stall Teresa while Tomochika and Yogiri find a gap and leave. However, Teresa thinks the swordmaster will be unhappy if the cannon fodder manages to survive. She starts attacking with her threads, claiming that a knight of the Holy King must be the strongest person in the world. Tomochika watches Rick using his shield to block the attacks and thinks that despite his strength, Teresa much stronger. She's just playing around while Rick needs to try his best just to block the attacks. However, Yogiri decides to ruin the fun and orders Teresa to die. She falls flat onto the ground, shocking everyone. Yet Yogiri changes the topic and asks if the hand he just found belongs to Lionel. Despite the initial shock, Tomochika starts looking around and finds him on the floor about to die, and begging to have the crystal back. The group later continues and reaches floor 98. There they meet a girl who explains this is a safe lodging area for everyone to rest. Yogiri uses this chance to suggest that the group split up because they could face a trial where they must have to kill each other. Rick agrees, mentioning he never expected this trial to be so cruel. He asks if they will be safe, and Yogiri reveals that as long as he's with Tomochika, Lionel also wants to wait until midnight to replenish his crystals. With this decision, Rick decides to leave while Lionel asks for a room to rest. Tomochika and Yogiri are left alone and he asks if she wants to rest. However, there's a problem. They only have one room available. Our boy takes the room just to find a couple's bed in it. Tomochika reminds him about her spirit ancestor always being present, but the spirit tells her to have fun while she hides inside the wall. Tomochika's worries start to grow as she sees Yogiri bluntly taking off his clothes and changing into his pajamas. He then steps into the bed and lays down like a brick. Tomochika cannot even believe this guy simply went to sleep while in the same room as her. Meanwhile, Lionel is in his room waiting for his crystals. He's happy that he managed to survive this far despite dying 15 times. It's finally midnight and he receives his crystal. However, he notices that instead of 10, he's getting 100 as a special event with a guaranteed ultra-rare item in gacha. He starts playing the gacha thinking he will be getting a weapon or something, but instead he summons a girl. He doesn't understand why he just summoned the goddess who reincarnated him into this world. She thinks she will be joining him as his ally, but she reveals that she's only here to check on him. Despite his confusion, the goddess explains she updated his checkpoint and if he ever dies again, he will respawn in this room. Meanwhile, the swordmaster wants to know how the trial is going. The girl explains she's worried about the number of dead not matching with the number of souls. The old dude tells her to not worry because that should still be enough to maintain the second barrier. Meanwhile, there's a fight happening in a random place. The girl complains about the guy attacking her, but he just claims that he doesn't want to become a sage. The girl reveals that she must kill him if he rejects. She uses her eye to measure his power while confirming his identity as someone who got his powers from God. The guy confirms, but reveals that he can also know her name just by looking at her. He tries to attack her with magic tentacles, but the girl cancels it just by saying some words. He freaks out and tries another attack, but she nullifies it by copying it. He doesn't understand how she can also use his magic, but she claims she can do the same things as him. He tries to cast another magic on the ground, but nothing happens. She explains that God can give and take his powers away. Since he cannot use magic anymore, the guy decides to use his sword. Upon looking at it, the girl realizes she cannot destroy it because of its high fate score. The guy attacks her, but she dodges and slices his head off with her small knife. Suddenly, the knife starts talking, revealing that she received a new mission. Her job is to head to Hanabusa and kill Yogiri and Tomochika. She thinks that dealing with sage candidates is annoying and starts walking away. Suddenly she hears a voice telling her to wait. Turns out it's Fatso, who quickly explains the other guy picked him out from the forest and saved him from monsters. Since he now has nowhere to go, he wants to become her servant. Back in the tower, the spirit hurries one of the two to wake up. Tomochika is the one who opens her eyes first, just to notice Yogiri enjoying his wildest dreams. She quickly gets up and the spirit starts begging for help. Tomochika notices the spirit has half of its body inside the wall and asks what's going on. The spirit explains that she noticed Yogiri clinging onto Tomochika while asleep and tried to give them some privacy. However, she ended up like this after becoming curious and trying to peek. Tomochika starts complaining, but the spirit reveals that the tower is drawing the souls of the dead into a single place. Therefore the walls and floors are trying to absorb her. Yogiri finally wakes up and the spirit asks if he can help her. Upon hearing it, Yogiri tries to kill the absorption function of the tower. The spirit is finally being absorbed into the wall and Tomochika says goodbye. Yogiri then touches the wall to narrow down the target and activates his skill. The spirit manages to get out of the wall and wonders why they are trying to collect the souls of the dead. Yogiri thinks this trial has some hidden objective. He tells Tomochika to be prepared because he will kill anyone who acts hostile without even asking anything. She's confused because that's what he usually does. Yogiri explains he's trying to avoid killing as much as possible. However, the other participants will try to kill them, therefore he cannot hold back anymore. Tomochika thinks that's too late to say because she's already prepared. She then surprises him by stating that he's been using his power to save her. Therefore using his power is the same as her killing someone. She doesn't think it's good to complain when all he does is protect her. She still tells him to be moderate, making Yogiri blush. He turns around mentioning he's hungry and they call for the room service. Meanwhile, the other girl is at the canyon and meets the golden dragon. Fatso tells her to run away because she cannot use her negative ability skill to win against the dragon. Yet she thinks that's easy because there's no way a huge dragon could actually fly. Suddenly the dragon falls flat, and she reveals that her ability is to simply change events as long as she believes them. However, she cannot affect anything with a high fate value. The dragon manages to get up and bites Fatso's arm, but the girl slices the dragon's head off. Suddenly an aggressor appears and starts absorbing the dragon's information. The aggressor suddenly escapes and she notices a tower from a distance. She decides to check the tower to find Yogiri, but the Fatso refuses to, explaining that he will be killed. Meanwhile, Yogiri and Tomochika are making good progress inside the tower, but he doesn't feel it's fair to kill all traps and riddles. Suddenly a random dude appears and tells him to stop cheating. He explains that he's the one who built this tower and that he can appear anywhere he wants. Tomochika complains that's also cheating, but the guy mentions he had a hard time thinking about traps just for someone to appear and destroy everything. Yogiri explains they just want to leave the tower, but he replies they cannot leave. He also reveals this tower exists to maintain the barrier that seals the Dark God. Therefore Yogiri cannot destroy it. Yogiri tries to make a deal. If he lets them leave, nothing will happen. However, the guy doesn't believe him because he could be one of the Dark God's pawns. The guy finally introduces himself as a Glacia of the High Wizard. He tries to give Yogiri some choices, but our boy tells him to die. Tomochika gets shocked and asks if this guy isn't someone important. Yogiri replies the guy was about to kill them and that they should move on. Suddenly, the Swordmaster notices several alerts in the tower system, revealing the soul path was broken. Not only that, but the traps and riddles are being destroyed without activating. Meanwhile, Rick manages to reach 100 points after defeating a random dude and notices a huge fire ahead. Upon getting close, he notices it's Linnell and his friend. She explains that she's trying to help Linnell, who currently has 0 points. She's literally creating a fire barrier and forcing him to fight other participants. Luckily, he manages to kill the dude and Rick notices that he's getting strong. Meanwhile, our duo manages to reach some sort of arena where they see 2 people fighting. They then notice a guy sitting on a throne with 2 other girls standing next to him. He tells the rabbit girl that his opponent's attacks are trash and she thinks he's trying to encourage her. Tomochika continues to watch the fight and the spirit asks what they will do. Yogiri thinks that's simple, this fight has nothing to do with them and therefore they will just advance quickly. Yet Tomochika notices the door is just behind the guy. The guy, however, tells the opponent to get serious. She decides to follow his advice and reveals herself to be half demon. The girl promises to finish this quickly before the sword master finds her identity. She combines magic with her sword and attacks the rabbit girl, yet the rabbit dropped her weapon and started to punch the other girl. Turns out the rabbit girl is focused on close combat instead of swords. Tomochika thinks this is never going to end and Yogiri decides to ask the guy to let me pass through. The guy on the throne asks who he is, but Yogiri simply replies they won't be getting in his way, yet the guy refuses to let them pass because his disciples don't have enough points yet. Yogiri still doesn't think they should be fighting because he and Tomochika only have 6 points combined. The guy freaks out mentioning that's a reason why they should fight. Yogiri dismisses it because he doesn't want to collect points, he just wants to leave. Yet the guy claims he's enjoying this trial and won't let anyone abandon it. Yogiri then confirms with the other girl and she replies that he can do whatever he wants. The guy on the throne thinks this is a chance to watch a 3-on-3 fight. If Yogiri wins he will let them pass. Tomochika starts to freak out, mentioning how awful Yogiri's negotiating abilities are. He tries to explain people just don't listen to him. The half-demon is worried about the other girl's strength because the rabbit is also strong, yet the guy reveals the rabbit is actually his weakest apprentice. He introduces his girls and then reveals that he wants to keep the half-demon and Tomochika for himself. He orders his girls to kill Yogiri and let the rest live, yet they all fall to the floor after Yogiri orders them to die. Since they won, Yogiri and Tomochika start walking away but the guy refuses to give up. He's about to make a move but Yogiri thinks about his death. Tomochika notices it but doesn't say anything. As they prepare to live, the half-demon girl asks if Yogiri is the one who killed everyone. He confirms it and she begs him for his help. Yogiri is unsure of what to do, but Tomochika tells him to at least hear the request. The story continues. We see Theodosia introduces herself to Tomochika and Yogiri. She tells them she wants to find her sister because she heard that her people were being held hostage at the tower. Tomochika thinks that Theodosia is asking for their assistance, but Theodosia tells her their assistance may look like rebellion against the swordmaster. Yogiri tells her the swordmaster already thinks he's against him because of the way he's thrashing the tower. He tells Theodosia his ability would be useless in finding her sister, but they can search alongside her. Theodosia tells him she would appreciate any help he can offer. He asks her if she has any idea where they can start the search and she tells him that underground would be a good place to start. She tells them she can faintly feel the presence of her people. Meanwhile, Lionel, Rick and Frederica entered the same level as the duo and Theodosia tries to remain unseen. Frederica is scolding Lionel for wasting their time and Rick tries to calm her down. Tomochika is pleased to see that Rick and Lionel are safe. Tomochika looks around and she recognizes the room from a previous encounter. The swordmaster Rabe turns back to look at the participants. He sees that just 17 of them have passed so far, and he's about to proclaim them as knights, but he's interrupted because there's an emergency. His assistants tell him that the tower has fallen silent and they're having difficulty maintaining the first barrier. They're still telling him about the problems affecting the tower, when a bright light suddenly blinds them all. After a while the light dissipates and they look up to see a purple portal going through the barrier. Rabe's assistants keep giving a situation report and Rabe gets ready for a battle. A demon suddenly descends from the portal. He thought the barrier would disappear if he blew the tower away. Rick is scared of the demon's aura because he's never seen anything like it. Rabe is not fully prepared for the battle because he didn't expect it to come so soon, but since the demon has already invaded, he has no choice but to engage it in battle. He tells the idiots that their first task as Knights of the Divine King is to defeat the demon. He tells them the continuity of the human race relies on them defeating the demon. Yogiri decides to use this opportunity to go underground and search for Theodosia's sister. Tomochika is surprised that Yogiri isn't doing anything about the demon that just appeared. Yogiri tells her if he defeats the demon, he'll get the attention of the swordmaster, which he doesn't want, so it's more convenient to let the other idiots handle it. Theodosia agrees with him and they make a run for it. Lionel suggests to Rick that they should run away from the battle, but Rick tells him it's too late to escape the demon. Frederica is glad the cowards who would have jeopardized their victory are now gone. Lionel submits himself to his fate and decides to hold onto his crystal for dear life. The demon asks the swordmaster how he can bring down the barrier. He tells the swordmaster he'll spare his life in exchange for the answer. The Swordmaster tells him he's suddenly being true king after destroying his tower. The demon loses his patience and begins taking the lives of the idiots. He tells them to tell him the answer at their convenience or they'll all be wiped out. An idiot decides to attack the demon with his clones, but the demon takes him and his clones out with a flick of his wrist. Frederica decides to shoot her full-powered light beam at the demon, but the demon crunches it out like a piece of tissue paper. A little demon appears behind the demon and he tells Frederica her attack was quite powerful. He tells her it would have dealt some serious damage if it had hit. The Swordmaster now realizes that they are in a bad situation. Frederica tries to attack the little demon with her magic, but he nullifies the magic from her staff. He tells her she's not strong enough to face them and he turns her staff into a huge piece of candy. Frederica is so petrified that her knees give way and she falls to the ground. Rick decides to attack the little demon, but he dodges his attack. He can tell that Rick is stronger than Frederica. Rick asks Lionel to look after Frederica while he faces the little demon. Suddenly, Lionel gets a notification and he decides to try his luck in the gacha game. He releases his apology stones, which join together to summon the goddess. She notices he's not in a good mood and he asks her if she just came to check up on him. She tells him she's in a serious mood this time and he's hyped to see that she's going to fight. She tells him the demons are small fry in her eyes and she tells him to watch her take care of them. In the blink of an eye, she approaches the demon and the main demon bows to her and the idiots are surprised by this. The little demon rushes and hugs her like they're old friends, and now the idiots don't even know what is happening. The goddess tells Lionel he was very unlucky to meet her and Lionel now understands that she's going to side with the demons. Yogiri, Tomochika and Theodosia are going down some spiral stairs, but it feels like it's unending. The spirit tells Tomochika that a barrier could be tempering with the space. Yogiri figures out that there could be an important room at the end of the staircase. They go further down and Theodosia can sense more of her people's magic. Tomochika tells Yogiri to do something about the barrier, but he tells her he can't, because it could be Theodosia's people who put it up. Suddenly they hear a scream which pierces through the barrier. Yogiri is thankful to whoever spared them the effort of taking the barrier down. A blue suddenly apparition passes through Tomochika and she becomes frightened. Yogiri asks her why she's frightened all of a sudden, and she tells him she felt like a blade demon just passed through her whole body. Theodosia sensed something and opened up a stone door on the side of the stairwell. She looks into the room and she can't believe her eyes. The room is filled with containers holding. Yogiri joins her at the door and he tells different specimens, Tomochika, to wait outside because he doesn't want her to see what's in the room. Theodosia walks up to the container and Yogiri asks her what for people are in there. She tells him those are her people and she's shocked to find them in such a state. She's somewhat relieved her sister is not in one of the tubes. Yogiri figures out that they were put in such conditions to strip them of their magic powers, and Theodosia decides to put them out of their misery. She breaks the glass jar and they leave the room. Tomochika asks Yogiri what their next line of action should be, and he tells her they need to go back up first before he can decide. He asks Theodosia what she'll be doing and she tells him she'll avenge her people by taking the Swordmaster's life. The goddess is still catching up with the demons, but because of the tough situation the Swordmaster finds himself in, he decides to bestow the Swordmaster title on Rick. Rick is surprised by this, but the Swordmaster knows he's the only choice he's got. He tells Rick he'll automatically become the Swordmaster if the demons take his life. The Swordmaster tells him he has no intention of losing to the demons. He tells Rick his huge status allows him to utilize the power of the tower. He tells him he should be able to put up a fight with the tower's powers. Lionel apologizes because it was his fault they were in this situation, but the Swordmaster tells him he didn't expect anything from him. Lionel knows that if he loses his life, he'll go back to the checkpoint, so he decides to try out an idea. He asks the goddess why she's chatting with the enemy, but she's skeptical about giving him an answer. He begs her to satisfy his curiosity and she decides to answer him. Since they've been in a relationship for a long time, Rick realizes that Lionel is trying to buy them some time. The goddess talks about her darling who suddenly disappeared. Lionel doesn't know who she's talking about, and she tells him he's inside the barrier. She tells him her darling is the Dark God, and the Swordmaster is surprised by this. She tells him she sent out a ton of messengers to search all over the world, and that was how she learned that he was sealed in the barrier. But after finding him, her messengers were unable to defeat the Swordmaster, so she decided to send him because he had bad luck. She was hoping her darling would come back to bring an end to humanity. Lionel can't believe his ears. He knew his luck was bad, but he didn't think it was so bad that he'll cause the elimination of the human race as collateral damage. The little demon tells her the barrier has almost dissipated and she decides to check it through her mirror. She's pleased to see that the creator of the barrier and the goddess killer are both gone. She knows they would have been a problem to deal with if they were around. She tells Linnell he's a walking apocalypse and he decides to take his own life to end it all. The goddess tells him she took away his random walkability, and she tells him to watch her darling come back to life before he inevitably loses his. She brings out the barrier core from the tower so she can crush it and bring down the barrier. The Swordmaster knows that there is nothing they can do to stop her. Yogiri, Tomochika and Theodisia emerge from the stairwell and Tomochika can see that the other idiots are in a bad situation. The goddess decided to break the core and bring her darling back to life. She crushes the core and the barrier breaks open. The Divine King steps in to put an end to the demon god. Theodisia uses that distraction to take down the Swordmaster. The goddess is still in shock at her darling's demise, and the sword monster uses that opponent to stab her with his sword. The monster disappears and Linnell immediately goes over to heal the goddess. She gets back to her feet and begins acting like a crazed goddess. The demon goes to pick up the demon god, trying to get him to regain consciousness. He remembers that his god requires human sacrifices and tells the demons to present all the humans to the demon god for consumption. The Divine King decides to protect the human and Yogiri decides to protect Tomochika and Theodisia. He tells the main demon to die and all the demons follow suit. Theodisia asks Yogiri if it's okay to leave the goddess as she is, and he tells her he won't attack the goddess because she bears no hostility towards them. Suddenly Aoi arrives at the tower, dragging Fatso behind her. She asks Rick for Yogiri's location and he tells her it wasn't a good time for reunions because of the goddess. She analyzes him and tells him he has become a sword master, and he recalls the former sword master's words. She tells him his sword can put an end to the goddess. The Divine King tells him the barrier won't last much longer, so he decides to take down the goddess. Aoi asks for Yogiri once again, but the boy with her doesn't want to meet Yogiri again. Suddenly he notices Tomochika's silhouette and the girl figures out that Yogiri is standing beside her. She analyzes him and she can't believe his stats. She's so mind-blown and she becomes nauseous. She sees that Yogiri is the culmination of the fate of the world in the shape of a man. Tomochika recognizes Fatso and asks him why he's at the tower. He tells her he was brought there against his will. She barfs, but she tells them she would be fine after she gets some rest. She tells Yogiri she came to deliver Fatso to him, but Yogiri tells her he doesn't want him. She decides to dispose of Fatso, but he's tired of being treated like trash, so she abandons him. Yogiri takes the census of the humans left after the battle, and Rick asks Theodisia the reason for her actions. She tells him she did it to avenge her people. Rick tells her he's the new sword master, and she asks him if he's going to continue in the evil ways of his predecessor. Yogiri tells her they need to check underground, and he promises to help her get revenge. Rick thinks that Yogiri is powerless, but the Divine King tells him only Yogiri had the power to defeat the demon god. The Divine King thanks him for his services, and Rick wonders what Yogiri is made of. He asks him what he plans to do next, and Yogiri tells them they'll be heading to the capital. They all decide to go to the capital for one reason or the other, including Theodisia. Theodisia tells them the name of her sister, and they are both familiar with the name. They decided to point her in the direction of her sister's last known location. The Divine King also decides to head to the capital to see if his bloodline hasn't died out. Rick suggests they travel together, but Yogiri tells him he only travels with Tomochika. Rick gives them maps and pendants to keep them out of trouble, and they all part ways, leaving Fatso behind. A boy suddenly appears and asks Fatso to tell him what happened at the tower. The sage is worried about Yogiri, so she decides to summon his friends from Japan. She summons a scientist and he's happy to find Yogiri on his radar. Suddenly a self-destruct warning goes off and the man's head explodes. The story continues. We see Ayaka's diagnostic unto switches on and it determines her current situation. It disconnects her personality from her virtual body and connects it to her physical body. Her plan execution unit urges her to wake up and she gains consciousness. Her plan execution unit tells her to process the situation quickly because there's no time. Ayaka looks around and she wonders where she is. Her plan execution unit tells her she's an android and her battle unit is happy the AI unit was able to bring her to life. Her judgment unit is her sentimental unit that has the highest authority over her. Her medical unit does a scan and realizes that she has sustained serious injuries. It informs her that she'll shut down in 39 minutes and she's surprised. Her judgment unit asks her to choose between continuing with human imitation or lifting the restrictions and proceeding with the next course of action. Ayaka realizes that she lost her life. She's pissed that she was used as bait by some jerks and she lost her life in the process. Her judgment unit takes that as command to lift the restrictions. Her battle unit tells her to get into action, and she wonders what she has to do. Her battle unit tells her they'll need a lot of materials to recover. Ayaka spots an experimental dragon, and her battle unit tells her they can use it to facilitate her recovery. She takes some dragon skin and consumes it reluctantly but she digs improperly. Asaka is preparing breakfast, but she's pissed that the agency didn't provide her with a rice cooker. The meal she's preparing is missing some ingredients. She decides to taste it and she's horrified by what greets her taste buds. She dishes out the food and Yogiri eats it, but he complains. He tells her the food is yucky and too sticky. She's surprised that's all he had to say to her after she made him breakfast. He tells her he can't compliment her because the food is gross, and she shuts him up angrily. She tells him a guy should never complain about the food a girl cooks for him because it's unattractive. Yogiri doesn't understand what she's talking about, and she forces him to eat the food and say that it's delicious. Yogiri gives in and eats it, telling her that it's delicious. Asaka takes a bite and she realizes the food tastes so bad that she could throw up. After breakfast, she's getting ready to do the dishes. She looks through her work instructions and she sees she has to provide the minimum in education. She's pissed because she doesn't know how she'll do that. She hopes just teaching Yogiri at elementary level will be enough. Yogiri is working out some problems when Asaka hears someone come into the house. She wonders who it could be and Yogiri tells her it could be the courier. Asaka opens the door carefully and she sees a girl carrying a bag and she asks the girl who she is. The girl tells her she came to bring them groceries with the robot voice. Asaka realizes she's a robot and she wonders if it's safe to allow Yogiri to grow up whole surrounded by robots. She tells the girl to also bring them other things. She tells her to bring her an elementary textbook, a microwave, a rice cooker, a hot water dispenser, a TV, a console, and a dog. Yogiri tells her he's done with the work and she realizes he finished early. She decides to take him outside and she's happy with the view. She can't believe they're underground. Yogiri tells her there are some floating things on the ground and she tells him it's because it's a farm. Asaka has a bad feeling that she won't make it out of there alive. At the end of the month, Asaka presents her monthly report. Her supervisor, Yukio, is surprised she lasted the whole month. She tells him she won't last much longer because she doesn't think she can give Yogiri the minimum education he needs. He tells her she can make it work, but she tells him she'll need more people. Yukio tells her that it's not that easy because other researchers usually bow out after just one day with Yogiri. Asaka remembers her experience, and she sees why others usually last only one day. Yukio asks her if she hates her job, and she tells him she hates it with passion. She wonders why she has to be locked away in such a place and Yukio tells her they'll make it worth her while because they value her. He gives her a package and she wonders what it is. She opens it up and he tells her that's her month's salary. She tells him no amount of money can convince her to keep working there. Yukio tells her she can go outside if she wants, and she's surprised he never told her that before. He asks her if she would like to leave, but she's worried about Yogiri. Yukio tells her robots will handle his meals, and she wonders why she made his meals. Yukio tells her they needed her to add her special ingredient of love. She immediately submits a vacation request. Suddenly, she wakes up in a cell and she remembers she went into the city, had a meal, and did a lot of shopping. She spent a night at a high-class hotel, but she can't remember how she got to the cell. She wonders if she was caught and a voice from a communication device tells her they won't cause her any harm. The voice tells her their organization disrupts anomalies and seals them away to protect the world. They just want to have a word with her. The next day, Yogiri asks his courier robot where Asaka is and she tells him Asaka went on vacation. Yogiri isn't happy to hear this. He sits outside to read, wondering when Asaka will come back. Yogiri sees that his dog is also lonely and he decides to find Asaka by himself. He asks the robot about Asaka's whereabouts and she tells him she doesn't know. He asks her to bring the researchers who know her location to him. She tells him she can't go out because she cannot open the door from inside. Yogiri somehow contacts the control room, and he tells them to open the door. They are thrown into a panic and they decide to contact Yukio. He rushes down to the control room, only to see all of them slumped on the floor. He asks his colleague what's going on, and the scientist tells him that Yogiri is controlling the lady scientist, and anyone who tried to stop her lost their life. Yukio is surprised that Yogiri can do that. He orders his security detail to shoot the lady scientist, but he suddenly slumps to the ground. Yogiri enters the room and asks Yukio about Asaka and he tells him she's on vacation. Yogiri asks him when she'll be coming back, and he tells her she won't be coming back because she was taken away by the agency. Yogiri wonders if he'll help her, but he tells him he can't help her because the organization has a global reach and they are not powerful enough to stop them. Yogiri decides to go help her, and he tells Yukio to keep his murder spree a secret. Yogiri goes to the agency base and he tears through everything. He asks those in charge where Asaka is. They think Yogiri's power is to take out anything he sees. They decide to take him about before he sees them. They set up an ambush, but Yogiri takes them out. Asaka is pissed that she didn't get a job at a conventional place and she wonders how Yogiri is doing. She suddenly hears some commotion outside and she decides to use the chance to escape. The door suddenly opens and a woman points a gun to her head. Asaka is surprised because they said they won't hurt her. The woman takes her hostage and Yogiri walks into the room. He's happy he's finally found her, but she's surprised to see him. The woman tells him not to move or she'll outlive Asaka. She keeps threatening Asaka, but he uses his powers to take her life. Asaka wonders what's happened to the woman. Yogiri rushes to hug her and he tells her they can go home. They walk out of the room and Asaka is surprised by the damage Yogiri dealt to the place. She smiles at him reassuringly and they leave the base. She returns him home and she goes to talk with Yukio in the garden. She asks him what will happen after what Yogiri did, and Yukio tells her there's nothing to be done. She's surprised that there will be no punishment for Yogiri's atrocities. Yukio tells her that they definitely can't let her quit now and she's pissed that he's laughing about that. He tells her they'll take extra steps to make sure she remains safe, and he asks her if she's comfortable with continuing her work. She tells him she doesn't feel like quitting at the moment because Yogiri would do worse things if he's left alone. She tells Yukio she still has some things to teach Yogiri, just to make him happy. Yogiri tells her he wants to play a game, and she tells him she'll join him soon. She leaves Yukio and runs into the house. She suddenly realizes that she forgot her bag at the agency base, and she said that she lost her month's salary. Tomochika looks at Yogiri as he sleeps in her car. The spirit Mokomoko tells her she should just spend the rest of her life with him, and she is surprised her spirit can tell what she's thinking. Mokomoko likes Yogiri's looks so much that she's eager to inject some of him into their bloodline. Tomochika tells her spirit that she has to let Yogiri make his own choice. Yogiri wakes up and Tomochika tries to keep her conversation with her spirit a secret. She wonders what they'll do now that they're in front of the royal capital. Mokomoko informs her that they are being surrounded by soldiers. The lead security guard tells them to step out of the vehicle and Tamika hopes they don't get arrested. Yogiri tells her they'll fight back if that happens and Tomochika knows it won't be much of a fight. The chief guard introduces himself as Torx and he tells them their vehicle belongs to the Immortal Corps. Yogiri tells them they're not in the Immortal Corps. He tells him they got the vehicle from the Mayor Ryuta and Tomochika can see that Torx doesn't believe them. Yogiri tells him they're candidates for this Sage of Shion and they come to do something like a trial. Torx decides to appraise their gifts, but Tomochika is skeptical about letting him do that. Yogiri tells her to trust in Celestina and a soldier appraises them. Torx looks at the result, and he sees that they are sage candidates, but he still doesn't trust them because he knows the results can be forged. Yogiri shows him an amulet and they immediately go on their knees. Tomochika asks him what the amulet is, and he tells her Rick told him to show that to whoever holds them up in the royal capital. He gives Tomochika her amulet and he tells her it's engraved with the royal family crest. Torx is about to let them through but David, who is the youngest in the royal family, tells them the amulet means two things. Firstly, they are Rick's acquaintances, and secondly, they are knights of the Divine King. He tells them the amulet doesn't allow for lawlessness and Torx tells him not to be rude. David asks Torx to show him the holy sword he received from the Swordmaster, since he's a knight of the Divine King. Yogiri tells him he didn't receive a holy sword and David can't believe that Rick is a swordmaster. He tells Yogiri to back up his title with his swordsmanship. He tells him he can't lose to someone like him who's skillless with the sword since he's a knight of the king. Tomochika wonders if they should turn back but Mokomoko urges her to fight. Tomochika knows that she can't beat opponents with a high fantasy level. Mokomoko tells her that David's fantasy level is low. Yogiri tells her to give it a shot, and he assures her he'll take care of things if they get dicey. They begin the battle and Yogiri notices that Tomochika's sword style is unorthodox. Mokomoko tells him the family style is to mislead opponents with their movement. Yogiri thinks they're having a stare down, but Mokomoko tells him Kamachika is already moving. She's hiding her left leg so David can't see her move, and she's also waving her sword back and forth to make David misjudge the distance. Tomochika suddenly throws her sword into the air and rushes past David and hits him with a low blow. Yogiri is surprised by her moves. Torx declares her the winner and the guards are astonished by her moves. After the fight, Yogiri touches the castle walls and sees that it's enchanted. David tells him the walls were built by an ancient wizard and they can withstand any attacks. David is surprised to find out that Yogiri knows the wizard. Tomochika wonders why he's tagging along with them and he tells her he wants to be their guide. They enter the castle and Tomochika notices a lot of martial artists. David tells her they are explorers who will challenge the underworld. Tomochika is surprised that an underworld exists. David tells her a Dark Lord rules the underworld and his spawns were trying to escape. Yogiri tells him he doesn't have to show them around anymore since they're close to their destination. David leaves them, and Tomochika thinks that Yogiri was a bit rude. He tells her they have to discuss meeting their classmates. Tomochika thinks they need to come up with an excuse for escaping the bus, but Yogiri tells her she first needs to decide if she'll forgive them or not. They go to see the king, and Yogiri is surprised by the number of people present. The king begins addressing them, but Shinya, a sage candidate, challenges the king. Tomochika can't believe he's that dumb. The king tells him this is not the first time a sage candidate has challenged, and he immediately puts him in his place. The candidates are surprised that the Eroge Master's ability didn't save Shinya. The king tells them to be quiet and he tells them they need to accomplish a huge achievement to become sages. The story continues. We see Shion walks through a forest, but the scene suddenly changes and she sees Aoi hurtled in front of her. Aoi blames her for causing their present predicament because she summoned Yogiri and his friends. Aoi thinks Yogiri will bring an end to the whole world, and she tells Shion she didn't want to be involved in her schemes. She's convinced Yogiri isn't even human. Aoi's sword tells Shion that Aoi has been acting like that lately. It hoped Aoi would get better with Shion by her side, but that was not the case. Shion figures out that Aoi had an encounter with Yogiri and she asks the sword if it learned anything about him. Elsewhere, Lu presents the information she got from Fatso named Damon, who is one of the sage candidates. Lu meets Damon, but he's skeptical about revealing all he knew about Yogiri to her. He was convinced Lu would take his life after he spilled the beans, but he had no choice but to do it anyway. He tells Lute how Yogiri was able to take out people easily like it was nothing. Lute notices he has a look of desperation on his face to survive, and she wonders why it suddenly changes. Lute isn't convinced by his story because she can't believe someone can take other people's lives if he just wishes it. She decides to put Yogiri at the top of her priority list. Damon wonders how she'll take Yogiri's life, and Lute tells him she'll get help from someone stronger than her master. She takes a weird-looking key out of her jacket, and she reveals that it's the key to the seal. Damon wonders what the seal is holding, and she tells Damon the seal is holding her master's younger sister. Damon decides to flee for his life since Lute has someone she can rely on to battle Yogiri, but Lute stops him. Lute doesn't know Yogiri so well, so she decides to keep Damon with her as a guide. Damon protests that it would be embarrassing for them to be seen together, and Lute decides to cast a recognition block spell. The king addresses the candidates in front of him. He tells them if they can travel to the world underneath and conquer the Dark Lord, the sages would acknowledge that as a great achievement. But he's convinced the candidates lack their requirements to achieve such defeat, but he has to keep to his end of the deal. He tells them they'll prepare a base for them, and he tells them to always remember that the royal family can cause the gift to weaken. He tells Shinya his finger will reattach when there's enough distance between them, and he leaves the room. Yogiri wonders what they should do, and Tomochika calls out to her classmates. They're all surprised to see her live, but she is pissed that nobody acknowledged Yogiri. While some of her classmates express their worry about her, some were not happy to see her alive and well. The Divine King arrives by train and she walks towards the city. She's surprised by how large the city has gotten. She is welcomed by Holaris, who is the Archbishop of the church. The Divine King planned to go home directly, but things changed and she wasn't sure of what to do. Holaris decides to show her the way to her home. When they arrive home, Holaris tells her that though everyone is glad she's back, they had hoped she would still be suppressing the dark god of the canyon. She tells him the god of the canyon was defeated, and he asks her about the sealing key. She doesn't know what he's talking about, and he can see that she is genuinely ignorant, and he casts spell on her. Yazaki tells Yogiri and Tomochika that he didn't do wrong by leaving them behind. Yogiri is indifferent about his betrayal, but Tomochika is pissed. She doesn't want to complain because it'll just irritate her even more. She asks Yazaki if he thinks their presence in the castle is bad. He's about to answer when Sora cuts in and telling him they should help each other since they have such few allies in the world. Yogiri doesn't recognize her, and Tomochika tells him she's a famous idol in the entertainment industry. Yazaki tells her he doesn't trust Yogiri and Tomochika, and Sora understands his distrust because he would seek revenge if he was in their shoes. The boys go to their dorm and Yugo complains about their movement restrictions. Yukimasa realizes that Yogiri doesn't recognize them, and they both introduce themselves as the losers of the class. Yugo is surprised Yogiri doesn't recognize him, though they've spoken a lot. He tells Yukimasa that Yogiri's insect hunter class makes him a loser because he can only kill bugs. Yogiri asks them about their abilities, and he finds out Yugo has the cook class, while Yukimasa has the reading class. Someone knocks and Yugo gets the door. He's surprised to see Fukai, who requests an audience with Yogiri. Meanwhile, in the girls' dorm, Rumiko is telling Tomochika about the three erode and nobles consisting of Shinya, Keiichi, and Mitsuo. Tomochika wonders what their abilities are, and Rumiko tells her Shinya stop time. Keiichi has X-ray vision, while Mitsuo has tentacles. There's a knock on their door and Tomochika opens the door to see Ryoko and Carol standing outside. Ryoko tells her she wants to have a conversation about Yogiri. Fukai is sitting with the losers, and he tells Yogiri he wants to talk about Lord Akashi. He introduces himself to Yogini as a deaf god, and he tells Yogiri he doesn't have to shoulder the responsibility as the taker of souls anymore. Yogiri wonders why Fukai came to their dorm, and Fukai tells him that he was never allowed to get close to him, to look him in the eye, though he was told to keep tabs on him. He immediately rips out his one eye and he tells Yogiri the eye can detect the supernal, but it lost its powers when he got close to Yogiri. He stands up to leave and Yogiri is surprised that's all he has to say. Tomochika takes the girls to meet Yogiri and they go out for a conversation. As soon as they step out, Ryoko apologizes to Yogiri, and she tells Carol to apologize too, but she's adamant. Carol is surprised to see Ryoko acting so erratic when she's usually so calm. Yogiri realizes they know about him, and Carol tells him she's from the agency while Ryoko is from the institute and Fukai is from the cult. She tells him they were sent to keep an eye on him, and Yogiri didn't expect to have 3 babysitters. Yogiri asks Carol for more information. Euphemia sits on a tree stump, wondering what Theo, her elder sister, is doing. A vampire finds her and goes to take her life so she can become the heir to the blood origin. The vampire is about to attack her, but Euphemia tells her to stop and she's immobilized. Euphemia immediately gets flashbacks of Lane's memories whose blood she ingested. Carol tells Yogiri that Sora uses her vow powers on students to prevent them from using the skills. They were fine with the 3 erode nobles as long as they weren't stopping time, but they weren't sure if they were using their X-ray vision skill. Carol tells them Sora became the leader because Yazaki couldn't get them together. Yogiri realizes that whoever breaks Sora's vow loses their life. Carol wonders why Yogiri met with them, and he tells her he wants to talk to she on the stage because he's sure she has some information about how they'll get home. Carol realizes that going home is the normal thing to do, and Ryoko thought they had no choice but to become sages. Tomochika wonders if going home with everyone's help is the right move, and Yogiri tells her they should go for the great achievement because going home will cause chaos. Carol and Ryoko tell Yogiri they're on his side. The girls gather in the hallway and everyone is in awe of Sora's outfit. Tomochika thinks her outfit looks like one of her idol outfits, but Sora tells her it has good defense values. Tomochika asks Carol about her outfit, and she tells her she's going as a ninja, but Tomochika complains that she stands out too much. Yui and Ryoko apologize for their conspicuous outfits and Tomochika wonders where they got it from. Yui tells her Runa the dressmaker made it for them. Carol notices Tomochika's outfit, and Sora realizes she's dressing according to her cover story of being a self-centered blacksmith. Their guide arrives, and the door opens. Rick walks in and Tomochika is surprised to see him. The boys go underground and Yogiri wonders why David is accompanying them. David tells him he can suppress a low-level demon's power easily because of his royal family's ability. Haruto wonders if David can also seal their powers, and David tells him that he can. He decides to just guide them to where the demons. The ladies are battling against several monsters, but they subdue them easily and Rick can see that he isn't needed. Tomochika just realized that Rick was the prince of the kingdom of Manii. Sora interrupts them and she asks Tomochika if she's ready to go. Tomochika reverses the question, and Sora confesses she won't need to fight since they have Ryoko and Carol. Tomochika sees a skeleton and wonders if martial arts attacks will work on it. She rushes at it and demands something heavy from Mokomoko. Mokomoko gives her a sword and she takes down the skeleton. A Cyclops appears and she summons a spear to take it down. Everyone is amazed by her skills. A four-armed monkey attacks Yogiri and he does his best to suppress his murderous intent. He decides to use his sword to take it down. The boys commend his prowess, but one of them wonders how he was able to bring the monster down with a single blow when he moves like an amateur. Elsewhere, Damon is walking with Lute through a city, but he isn't happy to be her companion. Lute notices the crowd and asks Damon if there's a festival ongoing. She knows the younger sister is underground nearby, but she doesn't know the location of the entrance to the underworld. She decides to get more intel and Damon tells her the best place to get it is the tavern. Euphemia is walking down the street and a girl is chasing a horse. Euphemia stops the horse for the little girl and the girl thanks her. Euphemia introduces herself to the girl, but the girl doesn't have a name, and she names herself Risley. Damon and Lute go into the tavern and Lute wonders how they'll get in town. Damon tells her to listen to nearby conversations, and she's disappointed he doesn't have a good idea. She asks a waiter if there's an ongoing festival and the waiter tells her the people are celebrating the sage candidates who have reached the 5th floor of the underworld in record time. Damon notices the 3 erode nobles and warns Lute that they can't be discovered by them. Lute uses a recognition blocker spell, so they don't get noticed. The Eulogia complain about Yogiri stealing all the beautiful girls, but a lady suddenly approaches their table. Keiichi is about to break his vow and use his technique, but the lady turns out to be Ayaka. She beats up Shinya to get her revenge, and the others can't stop her. She tells Keiichi to inform everyone that she'll beat them all one day at a time until they lose their lives. Everyone runs out of the tavern and Damon realizes that he may also be a target of Ayaka, since she's pissed about being left behind. Shion walks into the tavern and she recognizes Damon. Lute is surprised her recognition blocker didn't work. Damon decides to take his leave and Shion wonders why. He tells her they need information about the underworld and he wants to get it from another tavern. She offers to tell him about it and Lute tells him not to bother trying to escape because he can anger Shion. She asks him about Yogiri and he tells her everything. She's surprised Yogiri can detect murderous intent and Lute wonders what she'll do about him. She offers to take him out, but Shion tells her she can't do anything to Yogiri. She decides to take out Damon since he's now useless to her, but her attack doesn't work against him. He asks her about the entrance to the underworld and she tells him how to obtain a ticket to the entrance. She decides not to take his life after giving him such information. Tomochika asks Yogiri what he does during the day and he tells her he plays games. She is pissed she has to take down monsters all day. Yogiri asks about the underworld and she tells him they've cleared the 5th floor and would explore the 6th the next day. Yogiri reminds her that there's a dark god on the 7th level, and he wonders if it'll be easy to take down. Carol tells him they'll barely make their 1-month deadline. Yogiri is optimistic Shion would show up, even if they lose. Yogiri asks about Shinya and Ryoko tells him Ayaka took his life and she swore to take the lives of everyone in their class. Yuichi tells Shion the sage candidates would soon reach the 7th floor, and she decides to put a wrench in their plans. He tells her the dark god won't be so easy to defeat. He wonders what she'll do about Yogiri, but she tells him she hasn't made up her mind. There's a knock on the door, and Yuichi wonders who it is. Shion tells him it's a door-to-door transporter, but Haruto enters room. He asks Shion for an extension of the time limit and she tells him she can't extend the deadline for free, and she made a deal with him to get rid of Yogiri. The story continues. We see Ayaka's unit tells her it has completed its analysis of the dragon meat she consumed. The unit proceeds to extract the dragon language from the ingested specimen, which surprises Ayaka. The unit creates activation keyword, but she's suddenly hit on the head by a large rock. The unit informs her that she can now search with dragon sense, but Ayaka doesn't see the use of it. Her unit informs her that they've gotten the location of the sniper, and it recommends she uses dragon wings to get close to the location. She dodges some rocks, and then she uses the dragon wing to fly up to the sniper's tower. She wonders why the sniper, who is called Riona, is involving unrelated people. She tells her she had to do something about her so she could sleep peacefully at night. She rushes at her with fists, but Ayaka generates shields that block all her attacks. She wonders how strong she is compared to the rest of her class. Riona tells her in hand-to-hand combat, she's the strongest person in her class. Ayaka has had enough of Riona, so she decides to use her dragon claw to take out her right arm. She can see that it won't be difficult to deal with the rest of her class. Riona tells her she was only able to defeat her because her abilities were sealed, which surprises Ayaka, and her unit informs her that the royal family in the area has the ability to weaken a gift's power. Ayaka decides to come back to fight Riona when the seal on her power is gone and she walks away. Lute and Damon go underground and Lute can see they are just on the first floor. She tells Damon her lord's little sister should be on the last floor underground, and he wonders if she'll just walk straight to meet her. Lute tells him she can leave him behind if he doesn't like plan, but he tells her they'll never reach their destination if they keep walking aimlessly. They suddenly see a lady in front of them and Damon wonders if she's an explorer. Lute recognizes the lady is Lady Mana and she wonders what she's doing underground. Lady Mana tells her she got a whiff of her brother's scent underground, so she decided to come to the first floor. Damon wonders if she's the person Lute is looking for and she tells him she's the one. Elsewhere, Ryosuke walks into his apartment and he sees a request from the Assassin's Guild. He opens it up and he sees his target is Yogiri. Yogiri welcomes Tomochika back to the hideout and she wonders why he's just sitting about. He wonders if she thinks he's just lazing about. He decides to demonstrate something to her by taking off a few petals from the rose flowers in a vase. Tomochika wonders what he's doing, and he tells her he's learning to tone down his power. He decided to learn how to tone it down because he knew he'll need to tone it down to get information from the sage. Tomochika wonders if he's done anything besides that, and he tells her he took a stroll around the city while eating some food. Tomochika wonders why he's having a good time in that world on his own, but he informs her that he was targeted while walking around the city. She tells him that isn't a good thing, and he tells her he needs her help. Damon wonders why Lady Mana was sealed underground, and she tells him she doesn't really know the reason. She tells him she must have done something wrong, since it's her little brother that sealed her. Damon wonders how she was able to come up to the first floor, and she tells him her brother was kind enough to make the seal, so weak that she could break out whenever she wanted. Lute tells Damon her master definitely used his full strength to seal her. Lady Mana tells Lute she is perceiving her brother's scent from her and she wonders if Lute has any of his belongings. Lute presents her with the key to her seal, which gladdens her. Ayaka's battle unit informs her that it's found the king's chambers, and a person who looks like the king. Ayaka breaks into the king's chambers and the king of Mania wonders who she is. She confirms he's the king of the country, and she asks him to deactivate the seal to weaken the gift. The king tries to attack her with fire, but she uses her dragon scale ability to block it, which surprises him. She uses her dragon fang attack on him, and she's surprised by how quick he loses his life given how confident he was. She asks his concubine if he was really the king, and the concubine confirms it. Ayaka is convinced the seal will be broken with the king gone. Lady Mana leaves underground and returns home, where she's welcomed by her spawn. Damon is surprised she got offsprings with her brother, but Lute tells him they were birthed from her imagination. Ayaka goes back to inform Riona that she has defeated the king, and since he's healed, she decides to continue the fight with her. Ayaka wonders if the seal has indeed been broken, and Riona jumps out of bed to use her to test that theory. They get into a fierce battle and Riona floors Ayaka. She continues pummeling her, but Ayaka uses her dragon fang to take off Riona's arm again. Riona wants to keep fighting, but Ayaka immobilizes her with her dragon tail ability and squeezes the life out of her. Tomochika wonders what Yogiri wanted her help for, since they're just walking through the city. He tells her he wants to be targeted without taking the life of whoever is targeting him. Yogiri asks her to use her good eyesight to help him spot the enemy. He notices she looks a bit angry and she tells him she'll tell him about her mood if he buys her lunch. Yogiri can see she just wants him to treat her to lunch. A sniper who's targeting Yogiri begs a woman to let him go, but she tells him to hurry up and take the shot. He begs her to spare his life and she tells him he has to take down his target to be free of his pains. The man pulls the trigger, but he loses his life immediately. The lady tells her operator to aim for Tomochika next. Tomochika and Yogiri arrive at a destination, only to see it in rubles, and Tomochika is pissed by Ayaka's handwork. They decide to visit somewhere else, but Tomochika is suddenly targeted and Yogiri saves her. The operator decides to continue with that strategy, but Yogiri tells him he's coming to meet him, which shocks him to his core. Yogiri can see that someone was watching them, and Tomochika wonders what they should do. Mokomoko tells her she has the source of the waves, and Tomochika wonders if it's the waves that are making her erratic. The operator wonders if Yogiri knows his location. He decides to run away, but his escape helicopter suddenly fails and he jumps out. Tomochika suddenly attacks him mid-air and Yogiri appears before him. Yogiri asks him not to run and he obeys, which makes Yogiri realize that the operator knows about his power. The operator tries to feign ignorance, but Mokomoko shows him the spirit he sent to attack them. The operator wonders how the Princess of Spirits lost, and Mokomoko tells him no spirit can defeat her. Mokomoko also shows him that she defeated the King of Spirits, which pisses the operator off. He summons a wolf spirit, but Yogiri takes it out instantly with his death skill. He forms a pact with Yama, the queen of the dead world, but then he tries to stop it, but it's too late. Yogiri takes her out easily. The woman who is a clone comes out of nowhere to protect the operator by attacking Yogiri, but Tomochika saved him. Yogiri approaches the clone, called Enju, and he deactivates her. Tomochika wonders who she is, and Yogiri promises to explain later. He asks Ryosuke the operator to spill all the information he knows. Haruto visits Ryosuke's hideout and he can't believe Yogiri is so strong because he thought Yogiri was aloof. Lute apologizes to Damon for dragging him along with her and he can't believe she's so honorable. She gives him a key and informs him that he's now the representative of her master. He wonders why she isn't holding onto the key herself, and she tells him Lady Mana will probably take her life for allowing her master to die so easily. Damon tries to reason with her, but she tells him she enjoyed their time together. Damon can see that she's raised a death flag. Yogiri interrogates Ryosuke and he tells him everything he knows. He promises to leave Yogiri alone, but Yogiri tells him he's going to lose his life since he can create as many Enju clones as he wants with his ability. Ryosuke begs for his life, but Yogiri takes it anyway. Lady Mana enters her seal and Damon wonders what the seal is for. She tells him her brother placed the seal to protect her and Damon doesn't understand the use of a seal. She can enter and leave whenever she wants. The keyhole appears and Lute dreads what comes next. Yogiri explains that Enju is a friend he used to play with when he was little, and Momochika wonders she's a robot. Yogiri tells her the robot was modeled after Enju, and it was made to take his life. Yogiri tells her he wants Enju to rest forever and she misunderstands him. He notices she looks sad and he tells her Enju is still alive and well. Tomochika wonders why he was talking about letting her rest and he tells her he was referring to the robot. Tomochika is happy she doesn't have to fight the clone of someone who has lost her life. Ayaka attacks Yugo, the class cook, with her dragon claw, but he hurts her and she's surprised his attack passed through her dragon scale. He tells her he can slice through any ingredient and she tells him his skill description is too broad. She attacks him with her dragon claw skills again, but he's unaffected by it. She wonders if that's another of his chef's skills, but he explains that he can create several meals, and he creates several clones. Ayaka thinks he can do anything with his chef's skills. The class reader can see in his book that the battle has already been decided. Yugo's clones attack Ayaka, but she destroys them all with her dragon breath ability. Yogiri and Tomochika notice Ayaka from a distance, and they're surprised to see that she's still alive. Later in the day, Sora informs them that their class is down to 18 students because Ayaka has taken down 8 of them. They are surprised that no one was able to defeat Ayaka. Sora tells them Ayaka is able to win because she is singling out her victims. She informs the class that they have been asked to leave the kingdom immediately and they wonder why the kingdom is going against the sage's orders. She tells them the kingdom will be destroyed if things continue as they are. She tells them all to proceed underground and clear their mission as soon as possible. Yogiri and Tomochika go to the 6th floor underground accompanied by David. Yogiri wonders why David is accompanying them, and he tells them he wanted to see the 6th floor with his own eyes. Yogiri tells him to be careful, but David says everything would be alright as long as Yogiri defeats the Dark God. They arrive at the Dark God's castle, where they are greeted by thousands of monsters. Yazaki leads the class in siege formation and they run through the monster easily. Lute decides to confess to Lady Mana that her brother has passed away. Damon tells her Lute needs her help to get revenge, and Lady Mana tells him she will have her revenge. She tells him she has to give birth to her brother first before that, which surprises Damon. Lady Mana decides to take Lute's hands without her permission because her brother's essence is still stuck on it. She decides to take Lute's brain next so she can bring back her brother, but Damon begs her to spare Lute. Lady Mana tells Damon he'll spare Lute if he releases her seal. Damon inserts the key into the keyhole and he's granted administrative access to release the seal. Tomochika wonders why the class is celebrating so much, and her classmate tells her their journey so far has been easy. Jagasaki wonders why she's always with Yogiri and she suddenly notices he's missing. Her classmate thinks he's a loner who doesn't like to be in public, and Tomochika thinks they are mean. She decides to go look for him. Yogiri is playing some video games in the forest when he notices David walking on his own. He wonders if he's drunk, but David doesn't answer him. He sees David walking to his impending doom and he rushes to save him. Yogiri tries to wake him up to no avail, when suddenly the ground starts breaking up. The class is happy they've made it so far without a hit, and Shion suddenly appears. She tells them their journey has been too easy and a sage may not be born. She decides to create an awakening event, so she tells them she'll make them fight each other until only one person remains, which horrifies them. Tomochika goes out to look for Yogiri, but the ground breaks and he falls down into unknown depths. The story continues. We see Shion explains to the participants that they'll have to take each other's lives till there's only one left standing. She tells them that the trial will begin in an hour, and that an hour into the trial, whoever has not taken anyone's life will be unaligned by her. Ryuko gets a notification that the second Alpha Omega door has been opened, and Carol notices this too. Shion warns them not to leave the castle walls or they'll lose their lives. She tells them the remaining survivor of the trial will be declared the winner. The participants can't believe that they have to fight each other to the death. Fukai, the death god, decides to take Shion's life, and Shion is totally fine with this. She tells him the trial will end if he somehow succeeds in taking her life. Fukai figures out that his abilities won't work on her, and she tells him he has a better chance of surviving if he partook in the battle royale. He uses his ability to try to take her life, but she is unaffected. He thinks his ability didn't work, but she tells him his ability worked, but she just resurrected in an instant. This pissed off Fukai and he keeps using his death ability, but Shion explains to him that she levels up every second, so she recovers from boost ability each time. She tells him she will always resurrect if she loses her life. Fukai doesn't pay her any attention and he keeps using his ability. Shion decides she has had enough, and she lands a deadly flick on Fukai that takes him out immediately. She tells the others they don't have time to waste, and they all get into panic mode. Tomochika is moving through the forest, wondering where Yogiri went to. Ramako and Jayuna suddenly come running to her and they tell her they are in deep trouble, and Tomochika wonders what they are talking about. Meanwhile, Yogiri is in a free fall with David in his arms. He remembers when Asaka was telling him about a novel she read when he was much younger. She told him the novel told a story of a being that surpassed humans, and the word ethos appeared a lot in the novel. She told him that the novel said what a superior being means is character and not ethics or morals. Young Yogiri didn't get her point, and she explained that it was impossible to apply ethics and morals to beings that surpass humans. She told him the supreme beings have to make up their own rules for themselves, and Yogiri wondered if he had to come up with his own rules. Asaka told him he had to because though he could do anything, it didn't mean he could go wild whenever he wanted. She told him to think it over carefully and decide what kind of character he should adhere to. Yogiri stops his reminiscence, and he realizes that he'll only lose his life if he decides to follow the rules he made up. He couldn't let himself lose his life after promising to return Tomochika to her world. He unlocks his abilities and he reduces his momentum. He lands gracefully on the ground and he sets David down. He realizes he's at the 7th layer and he immediately takes out his phone to place a phone call. Yogiri wonders if the person on the phone would be alright, and she tells him she should be fine as long as the fighting has not started. He tells her to keep him posted so he will help in any way he can. Damon comes running out of nowhere, wondering why he's being attacked. He notices Yogiri and he immediately falls on his knees in apology. Yogiri wonders why Damon is on the 7th level, and Damon wonders the same thing about Yogiri. Yogiri suddenly remembers, he said he'll take Damon's life if they ever met again, and Damon denies him saying such a thing. He begs Yogiri to take care of the Slav trying to attack him, and Yogiri immediately takes it down. He wonders if Damon knows how to get back to the 6th layer, and Damon tells him to go back the way he came. Yogiri informs that he crash-landed on the 7th layer so he can't go back the way he came, and Damon wonders how he's still alive. Yogiri tells him he reduces his downward momentum so he doesn't get hurt, and Damon is amazed at Yogiri's set of abilities. Damon suggests he takes a shortcut and Yogiri asks him to lead him to one. Damon agrees on the condition that Yogiri protects him, and Yogiri agrees. Damon is about to leave, but Yogiri tells him to piggyback David, which pisses him off. Kyoko pulls up her navigation map to see where the other participants are, and she takes out her guns before heading to the castle with Tomochika secretly tailing her. Yukimasa reads her actions from a book as she enters the room. He reads about her peppering him with bullets, but he erases it and instead Ayaka enters the same room as Kyoko. Mokomoko praises Tomochika for suggesting they split up. She tells her Yogiri is in the 7th layer and he's trying to find his way back to them. Tomochika thinks she'll be safe hiding in the trees because she doesn't have a system installed in her. She suddenly hears gunshots from the castle and they know the battle has started between the participants. Damon leads Yogiri to an elevator, and he tells him he'll drop him off on the 6th layer, while he heads to the 1st layer. Yogiri tells him he has to go with him to the 6th layer since he can't operate the elevator, and Damon is bummed out. Yukimasa arrives at the room with the elevator and he keeps reading his book which predicts his action. He tries opening the door and it doesn't work, but as soon as he turns to leave, the door begins to open and his book tells him Yogiri and Damon walk out with David on his back. He tries to use this opportunity to take them both out. He writes in his book to change the future and take out Yogiri, but it only shows that he loses his life. He's surprised because his ability to change the future should be the strongest, but it keeps showing that he loses his life. He rips out the page in anger and it kept saying the same thing. As soon as the door opens, Yogiri takes out Yukimasa and Damon is surprised that he took out his classmate without remorse. Yogiri explains that he only took out Yukimasa because he felt his intent to take them out. He places a call to Mokomoko, but there's no answer and Damon informs him that the system approved his participation in the Sage candidate selection battle. Yogiri informs him that he can't leave the 6th layer because Shion won't allow him, and this pisses Damon off. Mei is lying down having thoughts of going on a vacation, when Arima tells her he's fed up with her because she's too lazy. She wonders why he didn't just take her life, and he tells her he'll feel guilty, but he decides to do what needs to be done. A rock falls on her and Arima thinks he's taking care of her, but she teleports to him and she realizes Avukawa is with him. Avukawa opens a door of lava above her head, which pours down on her, but she's unscathed, which surprises them. She tells him she's immune to all attacks, and she's pleased with the look of despair on their faces. She hits Yukawa with the same KO punch and immediately disintegrates him, and Arima is in awe of her powers. She tells him she was hit by a beam of light from a cat's eye before their field trip, which took her life, but the cats resurrected her and gave her powers through a link to the cat god as an apology. Arima is convinced she can take Shion so they don't have to partake in the event, but Mei thinks the event is fun. She hits him with a beam that immediately disintegrates him. She gets a notification that Damon is now part of the event and she decides to go take his life. She teleports to them as they walk out of the castle and Damon is surprised to see her. She wonders who Yogiri is, but he realizes she's come to attack them. She tries to attack him, but he counters her and takes out one of the cats. The other cat decides to get revenge and Mei doesn't hold back, but she suddenly loses her powers because Yogiri took out her source. She runs into the forest with shame. Kyoko and Ayaka are engaged in battle and Tomochika watches them from the trees. Mokomoko informs her that someone is setting the spirits loose and there is electromagnetic interference, so she can't contact Yogiri. Tomochika decides to move instead of being a sitting duck, and she's immediately surrounded by spirits. Ramiko approaches her and Tomochika can't believe she's the sorcerer. Ramiko tells her she's a necromancer, and she apologizes for hiding her powers. She asks her about Jayuna, but Ramiko tells her she doesn't know her whereabouts because she disappeared. Tomochika wonders why Ramiko came to her, and Ramiko tells her she has a guiding spirit who is the princess of an ancient species whose name is Tiano. Tomochika is pissed that Ramiko got a cool spirit while she's stuck with a spirit with a weird name. Mokomoko promises to floor Tiano if they engage in battle. Ramiko tells Tomochika that Tiano can't do anything but count and she'll gladly trade her for Mokomoko. She suddenly makes Mokomoko possess her and she starts attacking Tomochika, who's surprised by how powerful Ramiko has become. Mokomoko tells her Ramiko is using her powers against her will. She informs Tomochika she's in control of her battle suit, and she uses the purge command. Yogiri and Damon walk in on them and Yogiri hits Damon in his eyes, so he doesn't see Tomochika as her armor falls off. Yogiri offers Tomochika her shirt and he's convinced he'll have to take our Mokomoko since she's attacking Tomochika. Sora is impressed by the group Yazaki was able to form, and he tells her they aim to become strong enough to take down Shion. Sora figures out that they are attacking her because she took away his leadership position. Yazaki asks her to give in to him so he doesn't have to take her life, but she humbly declines. He orders his group to surround her and attack, but as soon as they do so, several fans appear behind them, cheering Sora on. Yazaki orders his group to take out the fans, but the fans blow themselves up to take out members of his group, which surprises him. Several fans blow up Yazaki, and Haruto is worried about the tricky situation they're in. Suddenly, the jelly glob engulfs everyone but Haruto. They call out to him for help, but he uses his secret weapon to save himself, leading them to their fate. Ramiko is still petrified with fear of Yogiri, but a voice suddenly tells her she's more powerful than that since she's a necromancer. Ramiko realizes she's undergoing an awakening, so she releases Mokomoko. She becomes amazed by the power coursing through her body, and Yogiri wonders what is going on. Mokomoko informs him that she's awakening. Ramiko feels so powerful she thinks the world is at her feet. She tries to attack Tomochika, but Yogiri uses his death ability on her to take her life. Tomochika asks Mokomoko to return her gear, and she's sad Ramiko had to lose her life. She decides to continue with the challenge, but Damon tells her she should be more sympathetic so he can take advantage of her. Yogiri decides to find a way out of the 6th layer to draw Shion's attention, but Damon doesn't like this idea because he thinks he'll not be spared. Ayaka is about to defeat Kyoko, but in her moment of despair, she summons a huge weapon. Carol and Ryuko join up with Yogiri because they made it a point to run for their lives. Yogiri tells them his plan to lure out Shion, but the sky suddenly turns red and Yogiri tells everyone to get behind him. Their location is hit by a huge blast and everywhere erupts in a huge explosion. The story continues. We see Ayaka brings Kyoko down, but as she's about to finish her off, Kyoko tries to search for a weapon which can defeat her. She screams desperately and a huge container appears in front of her, which surprises Ayaka. Yogiri decides to lure Shion out to get some intel on her, but the sky suddenly turns red and he tells everyone to get behind him. Haruto watches the scene from a distance and he thinks it's time to change his plans because the situation is quite dire. A light suddenly appears which surprises him, and the area suddenly goes up in a huge explosion. Ayaka regains consciousness, wondering what happened to her. Her medical unit informs her that she has lost over 60% of her body, so she's now falling into stagnation. She tells her medical unit to do something and her medical unit tells her it has just 2 options. Either it ceases her current operations and waits for her to heal naturally, or heals her completely using her dragon heal. Ayaka tells her medical system to go with the latter option since it's very convenient, but her system tells her it's not recommended because it would cause irreversible damage. Her unit tells her if she goes through with it, she'll change into a dragon. Ayaka gives the medical unit approval, and the medical unit tells her to recite the command. Ayaka recites it and she turns into a dragon immediately. Tomochika wonders what happened and Yogiri reasons that it could be an annihilation bomb that went off. He tells her the bomb creates a huge explosion that blows everything into smithereens. He tells her the bomb also destroys any nanomachine in its blast radius, and Tomochika wonders how he knows all this. Ryuko is worried the second gate is behaving strangely, but Yogiri is more worried about them leaving the trial area, which pisses Tomochika off. Ayaka decides to continue on her vengeful path. She wonders if the people she wants to get revenge on have been eliminated. She decides to confirm this to satiate her vengeful desire, but her plant execution unit informs her that her search skills have been restricted, but it tells her she can use her dragon warrior skill to find out. Ayaka uses it and her teeth begin to fall out, and when they reach the ground they turn into clones of her human body. Her plant execution unit tells her the clone can help her with the search. Damon is scared out of his mind, but he suddenly hears people marching towards them. He raises his head to see Ayaka's clones heading towards them, and he informs the others. They wonder what the clones are, and Tomochika thinks it's Ayaka herself. Her plant execution unit informs her that 5 survivors have been discovered. She commands her clones to attack them, but they all immediately fall to the ground. Ayaka wonders what happened, and her battle unit informs her not to waste more troops because something is amiss. Her plant execution unit realizes they are facing the Alpha Omega, and she wonders why he's able to recognize them when they're in Phase 2. Her medical unit informs her that the blocking function may have been disabled since she changed into a dragon. Her plant execution unit is shocked because they were created if humanity was annihilated by the Alpha Omega, so the Alpha Omega shouldn't recognize them. Her battle unit tells her they need to retreat, and Ayaka is surprised her battle unit suggested such a cowardly strategy. She's pissed and she gave up her beautiful body to change into a hideous dragon, all for nothing. She can't believe she'll have to let the survivors escape when they are within her grasp. She wonders what her purpose is now that she can't get her revenge anymore. The group of survivors notice her flying towards them, and Tomochika realizes the dragon looks like what attacked them on the bus when they first arrived in that world. Ayaka is about to shoot them with a huge fireball, but her battle unit warns her against it. Ayaka ignores the unit and goes ahead with her plan, but Yogiri uses his death skill to take her down easily. She loses consciousness, but her units continue to function for a while before going off. Tomochika approaches the clones, and she realizes they are clones of Ayaka. Damon tells them they need to keep moving despite not knowing what would happen if they did. Yogiri agrees with him and they get moving. Damon realizes there's nothing around them, and he tells them even Shion must be confused by the events. Shion suddenly appears, and she tells him she understands everything perfectly, which surprises him. Yogiri recognizes her as the sage, and she recognizes him as the person who promised to wipe her out. Yogiri takes out her ankle and she immediately loses her balance. Yogiri tells her he wants some answers and he tells her to focus on him. She tries to use her powers on him, but he nullifies it. He tells her to stop her antics or he'll take her life by accident because he's trying his best to hold back. He informs her that she can't use an instant death ability to stop his heart, and he asks her how they can get back to their original world. He takes out 2 of her fingers, and he threatens to take out more parts of her if she doesn't answer his question. She suddenly disappears and Damon wonders why Yogiri let her teleport to safety. He's worried she can teleport anywhere and catch them unawares, but Yogiri assures him that everything is fine. Shion arrives back at her castle, and she wonders what's happening to her. She takes off her defective hand and grows a new one, but the new one is also defective. More parts of her body lose their function, and she becomes skeptical about answering Yogiri since he's going to take her life anyway. Yuichi enters the room, but before he can help Shion, his hands and his feet lose their functions. He begs Shion to help him, and she decides to teleport back to Yogiri to beg him to spare Yuichi. Yogiri tells her he just wants to talk and he won't attack anymore if she answers his question. He's sure she figured out that he can attack her anywhere she goes, including her allies. Everyone is freaked out by his powers, and they are happy to have Yogiri on their side. He asks her to tell him how to get back home, but she tells him there's currently no way to do that. Yogiri informs her that Damon was able to go back home when he initially arrived in that world. Shion tells him that was back when there was a link between their worlds. Yogiri wonders if the link is now gone, and Shion tells him the link is gone. She informs him that the world was weaker when there was a link. He asks her for the coordinates of their world and a screen pops up behind her showing it. Mokomoko decides to memorize it and convince Tomochika she can be vital to getting them back home. Yogiri realizes they can return home if they have the coordinates and the right amount of energy to take them back. He asks Shion about the energy needed, and she hands him a philosopher's stone. She tells him he'll need several of them to generate enough power to get him back home, and Yogiri is surprised she'll give up such a thing easily. She tells him she doesn't need it because she doesn't rely on it. Yogiri wonders if all the other sages he took down also had philosopher's stones. Shion tells him they had, but the stone loses power once they lose their lives. She tells him the stone is the source of a sage immortality. Yogiri wonders where the other sages are, but Shion tells him she doesn't know their location. Yogiri asks Damon about the exit and Damon tells him he has the location of it on his map. Damon is shocked that Yogiri is about to leave Shion, and Yogiri tells him he won't be taking her life despite hating her so much. Damon is surprised he's showing her mercy despite her giving them a taste of hell on earth. They walk away leaving Shion, and she remembers she has to tend to Yuichi. She begins flying, but the red jelly erupts from the ground, which surprises her. She takes them out wondering what they are, but she decides to get back to Yuichi as soon as she can. She tries to teleport, but she can't, and she notices that the red jelly has attached to her leg. She wonders what's happening when Mana suddenly starts speaking to her. Mana tells her she thought her immune system was reacting to something worthwhile, but it turns out to be Shion, who's a joke of a sage. Shion wonders if she's a dark god, and she flies upwards leaving her leg to be devoured. She realizes the sage test may have been a mistake. She tries to teleport, but she suddenly loses her balance and falls to the ground into Mana's jelly. Mana makes jest of Shion for making up a fraudulent system just to call herself a sage. Shion realizes she has lost her powers, but Mana decides to use her to nourish her brother. Shion wonders what she's talking about, but the jelly begins to devour her and she realizes she can't do anything to stop it. She decides to warn Mana about Yogiri, and she tells her Yogiri will take her down. Shion remembers Yuichi one last time before she's completely devoured by Mana's jelly. 2 huge robots suddenly land in the capital, but a little robot appears to try to take them down. It attacks one of them, but the robot regenerates itself while the other one proceeds to destroy the capital. It's about to start its destruction when it's suddenly engulfed by the jelly. The jelly spreads through the capital and Rick notices this. He decides to evacuate the soldiers at the gate before they fall to the jelly. He sees his opportunity to carry out his role as royalty and he decides to fight off the jelly. He swings his sword at the jelly and he destroys it to the amusement of the soldiers. They tell him he is indeed worthy of becoming a sword master, but Rick tells them he's not having much impact. More of the jelly suddenly rushes towards them, and Rick wonders if the sage candidates broke the seal of the dark god. Holaris relishes in the engulfing of the capital by the jelly. He's glad that Mana has awakened to manifest herself upon the earth. Damon brings everyone to him, and he's surprised they are able to use a shortcut. Yogiri uses his death ability, and Damon wonders why he took him down right away. Yogiri tells him he felt Holaris' intent to take them down, that was why he took him down. Yogiri wonders where they are, and David tells him they are in the seat of the Divine King. Tomochika realizes the jelly is engulfing the capital, and Carol notices it's about to go over the walls. The jelly breaks through the walls, and Damon tells them it's all his fault. Tomochika wonders why he said that, and he informs them that Mana was the dark god who was at the bottom of the underworld. He tells them everything is happening because he broke the seal holding her. Yogiri realizes that was why he was trying to rush out of the trial area. Yogiri figures out that it would be difficult to move around because of the jelly. The jelly suddenly gathers around them, and Mana's face forms. She recognizes Damon, which surprises Yogiri, and she tells Damon to guide her to Yogiri, who took her brother's life. He immediately rats Yogiri out, which disappoints Tomochika and Yogiri. Mana realizes he's the one who took down her brother, and she tries to take him down, but he pulls at Uno reverse and takes her down instead. Damon begins praising him, but Tomochika wonders what they will do about all the jelly. David suggests they go up to the roof, and he shows them an aircraft. Yogiri apologizes to Damon since they have to leave him behind because the aircraft can only hold 5 people. Mokomoko suggests they stay behind while the others board the aircraft. Tomochika wonders why they stay behind, and Mokomoko decides to try out an experimental armor on Tomochika. She changes Tomochika's armor, and Tomochika is embarrassed by how revealing it is. The Yogiri wonders how he'll fly, and Mokomoko tells him Tomochika can carry him if he holds onto her. He quickly grabs onto her, and Tomochika is surprised he knows nothing of boundaries. Tomochika takes off from the ledge by spreading her cape, and they fly out of the capital. Yogiri wonders what they should do going forward, and Tomochika decides to take a breather since they've been through a lot. David offers to guide them to a nearby city, but Tomochika suddenly notices Damon is missing. Carol and Ryoko decide to tag along with them, but Yogiri tells them he's only gathering enough energy to take him and Tomochika back home. Tomochika is surprised by this, but he tells her he can't take responsibility for 2 more people. Carol and Ryoko tell him they're fine with his decision. Yogiri asks Tomochika for a piggyback ride since he's sleepy, but she declines his offer. Ryoko offers to give him one because they have to do everything to protect him, which pisses off Tomochika. A carriage suddenly arrives, and Risley jumps out of it, and she rushes to Yogiri. She asks him to marry her, but he declines her offer because he doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in jail. Theodosia and Euphemia also come out of the carriage, and Yogiri is surprised to see them. Risley offers him a philosopher's stone, so he will listen to her request. Meanwhile, the Divine King stares at the aftermath left by Yogiri, and she realizes she can't ignore such a monster. A robot descends to pick up Haruto, and it disappears into the stars. Damon is running through the forest, and he decides to go build up his own harem world. Tomochika is sitting in the carriage with Yogiri on her lap. He dreams of when Asaka told him it's fine for him to use his powers on people who he doesn't like. She told him to follow rules. He comes up with himself instead of following conventional justice. Tomochika looks up to see that Risley is jealous that she's so close to Yogiri. That brings the season to an end. Thanks for watching. Want more anime recaps? Subscribe the channels and turn on notification bell.